Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dax Shepard. I'm joined by Emmy-nominated Monica Panandam.
Emily.
And
I'm not your Emily.
is my C an enemy?
Oh.
That could be a friend. Today we have Beanie Feldstein. She's an incredibly talented actress. She was in Neighbors 2, Sorority Rising, Lady Bird, now in the very celebrated Booksmart.
Correct.
Jess's #1 movie of the year. She also was a real standout in the Broadway production of Hello, Dolly, and she has a new movie, How to Build a Girl. She's fantastic. Beanie Feldstein, we love her.
So much.
A real Armcherry, which is always the best kind of guest.
It was the first thing I wrote on my fact check at the top. I love Beanie.
Yes, it's almost impossible not to love her. We hope you feel the same way too. Please enjoy Beanie Feldstein.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair.
You're 5 years her senior, though. Almost 6.
Thanks for pointing out. Well, how many years senior are you?
100.
Yeah.
I'm 100 years older than
Approx
Beanie.
100.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny is yesterday we talked to Ben, and I think 1993 was the earliest birth date I had written down, and then now a second 1993.
I'm 3 months older, though, to the day.
You are.
Okay. So you're much wiser.
It shows. It shows in your maturity. But for me, it's particularly painful because that's the year I graduated high school. So, just thinking that you got brought home from the hospital on the day
At
I
the
was
same time.
celebrating.
Yeah,
It's a
wow.
little rough for me.
Yeah, because I'm June, so it could have been right in there.
Oh, I certainly was planning the rest of my life, right, as your parents were contemplating what your life would be like.
It's true.
No, you have an interesting birth order dynamic, and mine is similar but not as severe. My brother's 5 years older than me, and then my sister is 6.5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So between them is a gap of 11.5 years. And between you and Jordan, 16 years?
Yeah, 15 and a half.
Wow. Wait,
Yeah.
you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
Jonah's 10 years older than her.
Okay.
And her brother, Jordan, was 16 years older than her.
Wow. That's special.
Kids in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Yeah. So was mom super young with Jordan, and
So
how old was
young.
she with you? Well, let's
She
start
was-
with him. I can
She
do
was
math.
22 when she had him.
Okay, so 38 when she had
Exactly.
you. Okay,
He likes to
cool.
do-
Bada bing, bada boom.
Really likes to
Really
do fast
on it.
math.
I don't want to get you too revved up this early. I don't want to
Oh,
peak
boy.
early, but
Jeez.
you'll find that I lead you many times into giving me numbers so I can add them up.
Yeah, the whole thing was a trap. That whole age thing was just a trap.
It wasn't a trap. I was actually trying to imagine how old your mother might have been when she had you. But they're 38. That's, nowadays.
Yeah,
people
nowadays
have it.
that's so normal.
But I bet at 93, that was on the older side.
It's interesting because a lot of my friends have parents around that exact age.
Oh, you do?
But I think that was just sort of becoming the time.
mainstream.
I also
yeah.
think it's an LA thing versus a Michigan thing. Like, at least where I'm from, people got after it right out of the gates. It's a
Right.
miracle I don't have a 26-year-old myself. But I did find when I moved here, people were like, oh, they wait a little longer to get married. They certainly wait longer to have kids.
Yeah.
And so maybe a little more normal.
I was just with my friend and she was like, I'm 29. If I got married, I'd be a child bride. That was really funny. I was like, that's definitely
Yeah.
a more recent and a coastal thing for sure.
Yeah. And I even remembered like being maybe 16 and my mom took me to Germany for the first time. And we learned there that like people live with their parents into their 30s. And we were like, it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
And now it seems to be a little more normal
Yeah.
here. I feel like there's a little bit of a direction we've gone.
Agreed.
You grew up in Los Angeles, which for me, having been from Detroit and looking at this place and watching Beverly Hills 90210, I have a fantasy of what it was like to grow up in Los
Yeah.
Angeles. And then even compounding the fact your parents were actually in this industry in ways.
Yeah. Like circling the outskirts of it.
Tangentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me what mom did.
My mom was trained at FIT in New York as a costume designer,
What's FIT?
Fashion Institute of Technology.
Very exclusive, very
High
fancy.
esteem.
At the
Okay.
time, I don't think it was
Really? Okay.
But so she went to American University for a year and was like, I can't be in a classroom this long. And then transferred to FIT. And it was a 2-year degree at that point. I think it's now 2 or 4. And she trained as a costume designer. She's remarkably creative and like a force of nature. If she walked in the room, like every single person in a crowded restaurant would turn. Like she's just
She has
magic.
the X factor.
100%.
Oh, okay.
And
wow.
more.
Wow.
Simon
X,
would
Y,
hit
and Z.
the button. Is it Simon on the X? I don't even
Who
know.
knows?
Oh, yeah.
One of them. And
The Maroon 5 gentleman would
Yeah,
bang that
exactly.
button.
That's the voice.
And,
We're getting all kinds of twisted, but that's okay.
and
Isn't there a show called The Button? No.
Probably.
There should be, though. The
we're
Button.
making it.
Yeah.
So she trained at FIT. She was a costume designer. She did like a few sitcoms,
Mm-hmm.
mostly sitcoms. Her biggest thing that she did was Taxi.
When
My
did she meet
parents
Tricky
met-
Dick? Richard.
Richie, my parents met at summer camp.
Oh.
And my mom was 13 when they met.
And how old was he? I feel like.
17?
Oh, well, okay. We're still all under 18, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not great.
It's not perfect. It's not ideal, especially in this day and age.
I mean, when you're like 40 and 44, you don't blink. But 13 and 17, it has like a different
yeah.
connotation.
But we have best friends who they met at that age.
Yeah.
And they liked each other at that age. And they're now married for many years and have
Yeah.
kids. So, you know, who am I to say?
I know my parents have been married for 43 years.
They're still married.
Yeah.
And am I guessing right in this was one Jewish away camp?
Not specifically Jewish, but
Okay.
like generally all summer camps are vaguely Jewish.
Well, right. And I don't think people who are not around a lot of Jewish people necessarily understand this. But Jewish folks love sending their kids to camp.
I looked into it and I know a little bit about why this
Tell
happened.
me.
Oh my God.
Because
Do
I was
tell.
like, why are they all,
Yeah.
as I said, vaguely Jewish? Like, you don't have to pray or anything, but there is Shabbat on Friday, should you want to go.
Right, right.
And it's because when we moved to the States as a people,
Yeah.
we were crammed in tenements on the Lower East Side. We were crammed,
Hmm.
and they wanted their kids to experience
little
the
nature.
outdoors and have space and also get them out of their small space.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
they created these camps.
So it probably started as a New York tradition.
Yes, I think so.
Now, the beauty of it to me seems at least like I think we had Zach Braff on, and he was saying that camp saved his life. Like,
Is
he-
it Stage Door Manor? Because we went to the same one.
Oh.
Theater
It
camp.
probably
Probably.
was.
I think it
it was
was.
the theater camp that he was talking about.
It
so
must be
have been
Stage Door.
But he was saying in general school he was fine, whatever. But he would go to this camp, and he was goddamn John Travolta at this camp. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's a really nice experience
Feeling.
for someone to have. Yes.
100%. I went to both like a quote normal camp with like a campfire and a lake.
Yeah.
And then I went to Stage Doors.
In Stage Doors in New York?
It's in upstate New York.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful performing arts, mostly theater camp. It was wonderful. And I really loved like just normal sports, singing songs, I'm in a
Yeah.
bunk type of
Yeah.
camp too.
In what age did you start going? Because it's one thing for me to tell my daughters, like, hey, you're going away.
Yeah.
But also if I go, like, hey, you're going 3,000 miles away for camp. Was that a
Right.
little daunting at all? Or
Well, my parents are such New Yorkers, specifically my mom, that I grew up here, but I don't feel like an LA person.
okay.
I
Okay.
felt like we were very much East Coast people. We were always looking to go back east. Like we would go east for holidays and all summer, basically.
Okay. So when you would go away to camp, what age? When does this start?
I started at 10. I had just turned 10.
Okay, 10 years old. And do mom and dad then go to New York while you're there to do their own thing, whatever weird stuff they get up to? in there?
Who knows?
See Broadway shows
The
and
best
stuff?
thing about my parents is that every year, I mean, it still happens. It happened like a week ago when they're alone together. And then when I meet them after they've been alone together for a long time, and they'll start to fight a little bit, my mom will always be like, we were perfect the whole time. And then now, of course, we're fighting in front of you. And I'm like, this happens every year. Like, literally since I was 10, it was like, when you were away, we were perfect. And now, of course, he's like not taking my side. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't believe that you were perfect.
Well, kids will do that
As
though.
a parent, I believe her. Because you're in a relationship, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And so you have to compromise a bit. But a lot of things you can kick down the road. There's no reason for you to deal with this
Yes.
today, right? You can be patient. But when you have kids, you have to set a course of action today
Totally.
that you both have to agree on. And it's very fucking stressful because you're different people and you
100%.
think you should be raised different ways.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
You'd think after like 42 years, they would just like own up and be like, well, sometimes it's hard.
Also,
Yeah.
But it's always like clinging to the we were perfect when you weren't here. And I'm like, I don't know what this says about me. I don't know what this says about you.
It also-
Something's changing when I'm around.
it also scares me because their job's been over for 8 years. And yet it still may be causing that conflict
Yeah.
of compromise.
No, it literally just happened. They went on a cruise together.
Oh.
And then my girlfriend and I saw them like the day they got back. And they were like, Richie, you're not taking my side. And I was like, oh my God, nothing has changed. Like I'm in the car after my parents picked me up from camp, but now I'm currently 26. And it was just, I was like having so many flashbacks to that exact conversation.
So if you went to the camp at 10, but you'd already been on TV at 9, right? You were on an ABC sitcom?
For 1 minute.
I don't give a fuck. If I could have been just walking through the background of a scene of something, I would have done backflips.
You know, looking back, it was half a day. My dad took me. It was just singing.
Okay.
And I always sang growing up, and I was in a ton of musicals. So I don't even think I fully understood that it was going to be on TV. It was my wife and kids, and the setup was that the parents were directing the school play. And so it was all the auditions for the school play. So I was just in like a little elementary school auditorium singing, which felt very normal to your old pal Bean. So I was like, here I am in my comfort zone.
Yeah, you're a little fish in water.
Exactly. You go up and you stand in the center. There was no like acting. There was no stand on your mark. There was no here's where the cameras, don't look at the camera. It was just stand and sing.
Right. How did that come about?
Yeah,
though?
did you audition?
No. A parent at my elementary school wrote on my wife and kids.
Okay.
And Janice Hirsch, who's unbelievable, like a pioneer. She has polio and is a woman and was like in writers' rooms in like the 70s and 80s and just like a total badass, unbelievable woman. She was writing for my wife and kids at the time, and they had this whole setup of all the kids auditioning, and she was like, Beanie has to sing.
Because she had seen you maybe at one of
In
these.
like school stuff.
More
Her son Charlie and I were good friends.
So it was more just like, hey, do you want to do this? Not like you were pursuing this on any level.
No.
Okay.
My
And-
parents kind of kept me away from it.
Yeah, they did a bad job, can I just say? 66% of you ended up on film.
That's true.
Did mom costume designed in this industry, right?
Yeah, in like the late 80s, early 90s. Not when I was really growing up.
Okay.
And then she did personal styling. She's like a Renaissance woman. Every 3, 4, 5 years, she's like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore.
New
and
identity.
moves on to something else. Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Is she the romantic and the passionate one in your
100%.
parental group? And is your dad, well, obviously your dad's an accountant of some kind, right?
Yeah, so he's like deeply pragmatic, logical, wears his pants up to his belly button. Like,
That's
delicious.
in now. That's in now.
Yeah,
So,
he's
you know,
really, he's a
started a
trendsetter.
trend. Yeah.
He's a normcore? Is that the fashion trend that he's a part of?
My nephews, when they were little, used to like pull their pajamas all the way up to their shoulders and be like, Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa. Oh, which was so cute. And like take the little Mr. Potato Head glasses and put them on and pretend to be him.
Is square as that endeavor is, accounting, he did end up in maybe the coolest dynamic you could end up as an accountant. Wasn't he the tour accountant for Guns N' Roses?
Yeah, you know, it's so funny because this is always written.
This is not true.
My dad is a completely self-made man. He came from nothing. He had a bit of a traumatic childhood. He lost his dad very young, and his mom like uprooted him and his brother to LA. And he's a true like self-made human being. And all of that is true, but it's just so funny when you know him because there's no creative decision making involved in like doing someone's taxes.
Right.
So they're always like, you and Jonah and you're like creative parents, and we're like,
Right.
Not really.
sure. I mean, like, my dad started having mostly music clients, and then now he has actors and other people as well. But it started off primarily as just music.
Does he manage you and Jonah's shit?
He does, and I have to pay him.
Oh, good.
You do? Interesting.
You should.
Yeah, which I think I was like, honestly, oh, I'm doing well if you're making me pay you. I was like, this is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I
Right.
saw it as a sign of respect from him that he was like, well, it's time. And I was like, okay.
Uh-huh.
But he does, yeah.
Oh, that's really cute. Let me just say this. I have a business manager. I'm ashamed to admit that. I feel like that's a failing on myself, that I should be managing all my finances, but I'm not. About 4 years ago, a really good friend of Monica and I's, Houston Estes down in Nashville, he said, so how often do you audit this business manager of yours? And I was like, I never have. He's like, oh, okay, well. I go, do you think that's stupid? And he goes, well, I don't know, work pretty hard for your money. You just want to check and see if it's there. That's a bad Huey. But anyways, I'm just going Southern.
I didn't want to say it,
It was
but
bad.
it was not accurate.
How does Huey talk?
I can't do it.
Okay.
It's very specific.
He's a very charismatic person.
It's perfect.
Anyways,
I was enthralled.
okay, good. Anyways, I got home. I got really insecure about this. And I'm like, I got to do this. Like, I'm being trusted by Kristen to be managing all of our stuff. So I called my guy. I love him. I called him and I go, hey, I don't want to make this awkward between us, but I've decided I'd like to audit you. And he goes, oh, no problem. It all comes back. Everything's on the up and up.
Kosher.
I
Yeah,
feel
everything's
great.
kosher.
I call Howard. I'm like, hey, just want you to know the whole thing's over. I said, just out of curiosity, how many people audit you? And he said, well, I've been doing this for 20 years and you're the first. And I was like, oh my God. That both says a lot about us actors. And I don't know. I was like,
really
oh my God,
funny.
I'm the one guy.
This is poignant in some way.
Yeah, somehow it is. But anyways,
Wait, can Richie do my taxes?
100%. He would be honored.
But maybe for free.
I also was sitting here thinking, are we wearing the same nail polish color? But it's close, but it's not.
Very close.
Very close. Love
Very
that.
close.
As you were talking with
you
your
guys,
hands.
I don't know where Monica ends and Beanie begins.
I know. I love it.
I was too excited. I was like, this is going to be a match made in heaven.
It's getting very blurry around here. But he was the Guns N' Roses manager, so that is kind of like a feather in your cap of cool factor.
I guess. I mean, again, I wasn't born. So many family stories in my house start with before you were born, XYZ.
Right.
So I can't really speak to the specificity of it.
And I'm not asking you to talk out of school, but have you ever personally said, Dad, what was Axl Rose like? Pray that
I haven't specifically with Axl Rose, although I should.
Yeah, you should.
But I have with some other people that he works with.
Okay, good.
Get the inside scoop.
I wonder ethically, like, where the line is. I wonder if I was like a psychiatrist to the stars and my daughter asked me about someone's mental well-being, if I would just say, I can't tell you. I mean, I think ethically I should.
Right.
Ethically, you should, but you wouldn't.
But I wouldn't.
You'd tell her.
Right. Yeah.
I would say that if there's a line, my dad will not cross it, and I'm very much the same way. Like, deeply afraid of authority.
Oh, okay,
It
you are.
plagues me like every minute of every day.
So, were you a rule follower growing up?
Yes, to the nth degree.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so my wife is very much a rule follower.
Yeah.
One of our two children loves the rules.
Is it the older? May I ask?
Yes,
is it
older.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird. We can't really transpose onto you many of these dynamics that would happen, like baby of the family, middle child, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Because the gap is so big.
It's sort of like a mixture of an only child and a youngest. Because I was alone with my parents, as we know, so often that it was like an only child with siblings.
Right.
I would say.
And is it safe to assume, because I have heard Jonah both in real life.
He loves
and
you so much, by the way.
Oh, he does? That's very
So
nice.
nice.
We love the podcast and we talk about it all the time.
It's very flattering.
It's just the truth.
But when he speaks about you on Howard Stern, it's like, you know what? Everyone sit down because you're going to hear how wonderful Beanie is for the next 12 minutes. Like it's
Someone has to cut him off.
It's the only time Howard can't steer it. It's like, no, you're going to hear about how much I love my sister.
That is so sweet.
What age did you guys have a connection like that?
He always said when I was 14, he realized I was a person.
That's fair.
Yeah, which is fair. Like up until then, you're just sort of like this bumbling little thing.
Yeah. And an extension of him, his sister.
Right, exactly,
know,
in
yeah.
relation to him.
Yeah.
And I think at like 14, 15, that's when I started high school. He was like the age I am now, 24, 25. And he was like, oh, she's here and she's okay.
And can I ask, was it that you guys had a conversation where he was like, oh, wait, the light's on inside this person? Or did he watch you perform and go, oh, this person's special? Was there an event that triggered it?
I think I was always trying to be like, hey, my light's on. And he was just on his own path.
Sure.
I do remember once, I think I was like 11, and I was like, Jonah, how old do you think I am? And he was like, 6? No.
6.
And I was, so self-righteous. I was like, no, I'm 11. I think it was more just the little sister thing. You carry that around with you. But then I was like in high school and I got along with his friends, and his like friends would start to like ask me about my life, and that sort of opened up.
You kind of needed sometimes to see someone through someone else's lens.
100%. And I think also he was 24, 25, 26 when you don't really care so much about like all that stuff that you cared more about in your adolescence or like your early teens.
Yeah.
He was much more settled, and he was like, come here, this is the best. Like, I love you so much.
It's
It
almost
was
like
sort of like
being-
a sharp turn.
It almost sounds like being reunited with a sibling.
That's
you
a
know?
great way to put it.
Like, oh my God, I found out I have a sister, and I went and had lunch with her in Zurich, and she's so interesting. I'm so delighted to know I have this person. Yeah.
I just like knocked on the door one day. I was like, hello.
It is challenging to see your siblings as human beings that are special and unique. They're
Totally.
just
Jordy definitely, like, when I was younger, he always loved kids. And so he was like so excited that I was around, and he was like 16, 17. And he very much was with my mom and helping her a lot.
Yeah.
But Jonah was like, I'm not the baby anymore. I'm like really struggling with that concept. So they think it took him a little more time to come around to me.
Now, do you think you have any little sister syndromes? And I can only compare this to my own situation, which is I often feel bad that she grew up in a house where I was older, and so just by default, what I did was kind of cool. But what I did was very masculine and male and fighting and dirt bikes and all this stuff. I just wonder what impact that has on a little female in the house.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of that comes to mind is like I really am struggling to catch up on like my movie intake. And Jonah is such a cinephile, and he is like an encyclopedia of knowledge about films. And to this day, he'll be like, "You haven't seen that, have you?" And I'm like, "No." And it's like, that's
shame.
like the deep shame of like, he's so cool and he knows everything, and I'm like pathetic and I know nothing.
Right.
That's the only time I feel it now.
Although you identify with being a New Yorker, you very much grew up here, right?
Yes.
You went to school here. And I would have, prior to talking to Ben Platt, your best buddy,
Yes.
You know, we had you guys on one after the other. How kismety is that?
It's too perfect.
Yeah.
We were beyond excited. Many a text were
so
sent.
sweet.
and so I've already been corrected on this, so I can't even make the same point, but I had an idea of what Harvard Westlake is. I imagine I'd go there and feel less than everyone else, and people would have famous parents, and people would be billionaires and all that. And to me, I just feel like I would have been very feeling less than quite often. Ben did not have that experience. He loved that place. You feel the same?
I loved it so much, but academically, I definitely felt less than.
Okay.
I loved academics in elementary school, and I applied to Harvard Westlake for 7th grade. And at that point, I was like super in 11, 12. I'm like super into academics in elementary school.
Sure.
And my brothers had gone to Crossroads, but I was much more of a traditionalist. And I was like, I would like English and history to be separate subjects. I would like to sit at a desk. I would like to call my teacher by their last name. I kind of wanted that
The
for
structure
myself.
and the
Rule
rules.
following.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I needed more rules because my elementary school was so beautiful, but like very loose and progressive. And I think I kind of craved some more structure.
Yeah.
But then it got incredibly difficult academically, which is what I anticipated, but I couldn't quite keep up at the level I expected to keep up. It wasn't that I couldn't keep up, but I thought I was a straight A person.
You weren't in the top 10% of
Not
that
at
place.
all.
Right.
Whereas Ben was. So that's different.
Oh, okay.
No wonder he
Getting
loves it.
exposed. Yeah.
So I struggled in high school academically. Socially, I loved it. And our group of friends is like the most special, wonderful, remarkable group of people and are still our best friends to this day. So socially, I was great. But academically, I really had big ups and downs. Like some years I really tried, and other years I was too afraid to try because I was like, if I try and fail, that will hurt
more and
so
more,
much
yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Because all my friends are succeeding at like such a high level.
Right.
Brilliant human beings. And then something clicked like before junior year, thank God. Because that's like when it, really starts
mattering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I sort of was just like, all right, I'm going to start trying. And I didn't do perfect, but I definitely did much better. But then it wasn't until I got to college that I really found myself academically. I was listening to you in college on Mark Maron,
Oh.
and you were talking about that you were an anthropology major.
Yes.
And I was so excited because I was a sociology major in college. And I didn't know any other like actor, performer person that had gone down that path
Yeah.
academically. And I was like, that's so cool. He's so cool.
You went to Wesleyan.
Wesleyan is all girls. Wesleyan is co-ed.
Okay, and you already obviously had a great interest in acting and singing and Broadway and all that stuff. So why not major in that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I visited so many schools that were like BFA programs to study musical theater. And then I visited a lot of like small liberal arts schools, more generally just study whatever you want. And I'd gone to Stage Door Manor for so many years, and I did like 5 musicals a year growing up. And I think I was just like, I love Patti LuPone, but I can't talk about her every single day of my life for the next 4 years. Like,
right. I don't even know who Patti LuPone is.
She's like a Broadway great, or like
okay.
Bernadette Peters, or whoever it
Bernie
is.
Peters.
Yeah.
I know her. Okay.
I love them so much, but I need a break from musical theater, I think, to find my way back to it. My brain needs a break from this, I think, in order to do better at it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just felt academically I didn't want to be there. I wanted to perform that, but I didn't want to study it institutional classroom setting.
Yeah.
That didn't feel right to me. I was like, I'd rather just go in on academics on something so different and then hold performing as sort of like its own separate thing
Right.
and bring them together.
Well, now I tell myself that I didn't want a bullshit degree. That was my thing. I'm like, if I'm going to dedicate 4 years to this, I'm already at the groundlings. Like I'm already like to me felt like a cheat. Like I needed to get something more. I've told myself that forever. But I do think now when you're talking about it, I actually maybe also was fearful that I would have had to major in acting, like theatrical acting. And I never saw myself as doing that. And I don't imagine I would have been good at it. And so maybe I was also just afraid to major in that.
Yeah.
But you are grateful ultimately, right? That you majored in what you did?
Very grateful. I think my upbringing was so beautiful, but also very much within a bubble. And I sort of see Wesleyan and the sociology department just came along and just like popped that bubble. It was just like, situate yourself within the larger scope of what's going on and think critically about it for 4 years. And it just cracked my mind open. I felt so much more engaged with the world around me and invested in what was going on.
Yeah.
And it just taught me to think critically and analytically in a way that I just hadn't been asked to in high school. I don't know. It just really opened up a different side of me that I didn't see coming. Like I couldn't have told you what sociology was in high school.
Me too. Yeah. Like I think it gave me a broader view of humans on planet Earth that I couldn't have gotten to on my own. I just was going through life assuming like this is how it is. It's always been this way. So why really even question anything? And then going like, oh no, we've been here for 150,000 years. We've only been living in civilizations for 10,000 of those years. That's interesting. Oh, so this is a new experiment. Oh, look how many attempts we've thrown out. Like we're not there. Get thinking about where we should go. That's interesting. Don't assume all this stuff we inherited is worth defending or perpetuating. I was just like, oh, wow. Yeah, this is a new thing and worth figuring out still.
I don't remember falling in love with theater because I was so young when it happened, like 3 or 4. So it felt like finding a passion for the first time since I was a kid.
Yeah.
It felt like that feeling of falling in love with something or finding something you didn't know that you would ever be interested in or didn't know existed. Like, you know, and just being so enthralled by it.
Some of the most fascinating studies still, and when we listen, Monica and I consume a lot of podcasts. In general, we love when there's sociologists on because they do the most interesting experiments, right? I love that.
Yeah. Wesleyan didn't allow us to do a lot of concluding. It was a lot of it was a lot of like postulating and analyzing. But sometimes the conclusions were I searched for conclusions and they were like, hold off, let's keep thinking about this a little bit more.
I had the same frustration with anthropology, which is like, we're just observing and we really can't say anything.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, hold on, no. We eventually should gather all this information and make some decision going forward based on it.
At some point, you should give me some path to go down.
Yes. How do I apply this knowledge I have now? So my town that I grew up in, poor people and then like middle-class people, tops. I have to imagine that the gap between the lowest and the biggest was maybe a factor of 5. But I have to imagine at that school, there were some people that literally their families had like 150 times as much money as other students' families. Were you aware of any of that? Did it bother you? Did it make you insecure or any of that?
I don't think I thought about it in high school the way once I got to Wesleyan, I looked back and I was like, there's a lot going on that I just sort of missed. Which is kind of embarrassing to admit.
No, I think it's great.
Well, like you said, it's a bubble.
Yeah.
So why would you be thinking anything of that's your normal?
Yeah. As I go through life now, I think much more critically, or I try to observe much more keenly about things like that because I think I'm trying to like make up for being so privileged that I missed it in high school. But looking back, there was such an insane level of privilege at that school that I didn't even hit. You know what I mean? Like the scope of it.
When you come back from Christmas vacation, some people took their jet to Beijing to eat at a restaurant or whatever,
100%.
Right? Yeah.
Or to their own island, I presume, somewhere like they have an island.
But you never felt triggered by any of that.
I don't know, because I think when I started so young there, I was like 12, and thinking back, how could I go over to people's houses and not think this is different?
They have an elevator.
This is perhaps different than my house.
Yeah.
That's a Liechtenstein, all right. But I think you just see your friend and you just see their mom, and that is a naive answer.
I think it's wonderful. I'm very happy to hear that it didn't have an effect where you were like, oh my God, even though you guys were doing fine, going like, oh, we're poor.
But I also think, how privileged am I to have had that? Like, do you have to be a certain level of privileged to be blind to other people's insane privilege.
Yeah.
And so I have to acknowledge that. Yeah, I don't know.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
What year did you graduate college?
2015.
2015. Okay, 2015. You know you always wanted to be in acting in some capacity, right?
Yeah, always only Broadway.
Only Broadway. Now, does at that point your brother's very successful already?
Yes.
Are you afraid at that point? Really quick, how did he end up with a different name than you? I don't
His
even
middle
know.
name is Hill.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for no reason, my mom just like liked the sound of it. Like it's not like a family name. And it just like, it sounded great. She kind of, oh, Shay, she's such a great, she's such an amazing person, but she's so crazy sometimes. She's like, oh, I knew. Like I named him knowing that like someday we need it. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like explain that to me.
That's great.
But yeah, Jonah Hill just sounds so good. I think he was like, I'll just do that.
Yeah, so my sister is also an actor, and I think that it's a burden that I'm her brother at times. So I just wonder, was there a voice in your head? It's like, oh, great, I'm going to pursue this, and everyone's just going to go, oh, of course she's doing it because her brother is famous.
No.
God,
And
you're
that's
healthy.
that's an
Yeah, you
honest
are.
answer. Well, I think it's because from age of 3, I was like musical theater, and I just put on blinders.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, Jonah does movies. That's not my lane. I'm in this lane. And I also was like such a bratty kid, and I was like, I've been doing this longer than because I considered my like
Yeah.
children's theater in like a playground like
Train.
Objectively, you were on ABC at 9 before I was acting professionally. So you've been doing it longer than me as well.
ish, yeah. That was a brief stint away from my community theater in Santa Monica. I just had such blinders on with theater that I think I genuinely didn't see that as a source of tension or competition or anything. I just was like proud and surprised and excited and then just sort of was so in awe of like what he was doing and excited for him.
Yeah. Well, that's the healthiest, best response. Whenever you talk, you will probably end up talking about your brother at some point. It's just inherently interesting.
Yeah.
And I could see myself having a chip on my shoulder about that. Like, yeah, I know. He is my brother. We have established this. Everyone knows
it would make
this.
me crazy.
I would have it with Kristen. When Kristen and I would first very publicly dating, I would go on a talk show and the whole segment would be about her. And I'm like, I think they only had me as a conduit to talk about her.
Yeah.
It wasn't for years till I noticed, oh, they do the same thing to her. They just don't know what the fuck else to talk about. And here's a layup.
Totally.
Right.
So good a layup. I love that.
So when you started getting attention of your own, and his name is always brought up when you're talking about your own accomplishment, the fact that you still are proud of that is very admirable, and I envy it. I wish I could start there.
I wouldn't lie to you.
I don't think you would.
Because I love this podcast, and I couldn't bring I'm a rule follower, so like, what was I going to lie on my favorite podcast?
It is a rule here. Honesty is
true.
the number one rule.
But I love him so much, and I'm so proud of him, and I never thought I would do movies ever. That discovery and loving that so much has been nothing but like this great gift I feel like I've been given.
Like an unexpected.
Completely
Right.
unexpected. And people are like, but you always did theater. I'm like, think about how different they are. Like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sondheim musicals, and my first Broadway production, my only Broadway production was Hello, Dolly, to like filmmaking. Like they're two completely different beasts. It's like, you sing, but are you an opera singer or are you a rock or country singer? Like they're completely different things. And I was like, I'm opera, he's country.
Right.
I never thought of it as like,
Overlapping.
yeah.
I see that for sure, because I am a great lover of movies, and I have a very hard time getting through live productions. I can't.
he's the same way.
I can't buy in the way everyone else is. I'm
He's
like, no,
literally
that's
like-
a 30-year-old acting like a child, and it's for driving me nuts.
And he's like, why are you singing? Like, explain it to me.
Yes.
Why the fuck are you singing? Like, I don't understand
I
it.
have asked my wife so many times. Like,
What
I
we're
was-
learning is that you and Kristen's just me and Jonah.
Yeah, totally. So I feel like Larry David, when he says he hates going to the beach because all he does is look around and go like, what is the experience everyone else is getting that I'm not? So you graduate in 2015, and then do you immediately start pursuing getting into a Broadway show?
Yes and no. My freshman year of college, I had an agent on the East Coast. from like when I was a kid, but my parents were very much like, we only really want you to do theater because in some world where you get on a show at like 12 and you lose all of your high school experience and you love school, and we're just following what we see in you, which is that you belong in school.
Right.
And so they were like, just theater. I never booked anything. But I had this children's agent on the East Coast. And so when I went to Wesleyan, they were like, come audition in New York whenever you can. And I was going back and forth. And I remember I called my mom one day and I was just like crying. And I was like, I feel like I'm terrible in these auditions and my papers aren't good when I get back to school, or I'm not doing the reading, or I feel behind at school and I feel like I suck at these auditions. I'm caught between two worlds and I'm not succeeding at either of them. So I sort of very purposefully was like, just focus on college. Just do college. Try to invest yourself in it, and acting can hold off because you've chosen to be here.
Yeah.
It's such an honor and a privilege to get to go to a school like that. Just focus.
Right.
But my senior year, everyone's studying for the MCAT. They're taking job offers and going on interviews and all this stuff. And I was like, I have to kind of get my head back in the game.
Right.
So I took an acting class before senior year, and then I started auditioning much more. And I did a few things during my senior year.
Plays?
Shows. So I did the one line on Orange is the New Black,
Oh, TV shows.
which was super fun.
Uh-huh.
And then I did this pilot that never got picked up, which is insane. And I can say that because I only had like 4 lines on it. So I'm as objective as one can be having seen it.
Sure.
But Gus Van Sant directed this pilot that Genji Cohan and Bruce Miller, who did The Handmaid's Tale, co-created.
Oh, boy.
What?
And Eddie Izzard was the star. And it was about the Salem witches.
Ooh.
And it was so unbelievably cool.
Yeah.
And it had an amazing cast, like Karen Gillan and Eddie and all these amazing people. And I was like a small guest star in it, but it fell within my spring break. So my spring break of my senior year of college, I was
How fun.
in Boston doing that, which was very crazy. And then when I graduated, I started auditioning, and then I got Neighbors 2 within like 2 months of graduating. They were casting it out of LA, and I flew to LA to audition because I was like, this on a tape doesn't add up. Like, I know like comedy like this is so improvised that if I make like this weird static tape where I'm like, this is me being funny
Right.
for 3 minutes in front of like my bedroom door, this doesn't work, versus like being in the room and them throwing stuff
You
at
got to
me.
shine your light on them.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I was like, oh, hello. So I came to LA, and then I was nannying, and I just put the 1-year-old that I was taking care of to sleep. And I got the call, and they were like, why are you whispering? You're being so weird. And I was like, she just went to sleep, and I don't care what you have to say. If she wakes up, this is going to be the worst night ever. So please just like whisper with me. I was in Atlanta like August of 2015.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yes, and you're hilarious in that movie. That is unfortunately the one thing I've seen you in. I don't know why I didn't see Lady Bird. I'm supposed to. Everyone told me to. Everyone loves it. It's
So
a
fantastic.
criminal offense I haven't.
Yep.
It's okay.
I'm going to. I promise. I'm going to blame having little kids.
Blame away.
Okay.
But also no, because Kristen's seen it.
But I was
My girl.
out of town, and you guys
Okay,
watched it
well,
without me.
whatever.
And then when I'm going to sit by myself and tell you guys I can't watch TV because I got to catch up on this thing.
Yes.
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
All right. I make a pledge. So does Lady Bird follow Neighbors 2 immediately?
Yes, I did. Whitney Cummings directed a movie called The Female Brain, where I played her assistant. So I did that in like 4 days before I did Lady Bird. But Lady Bird was pretty much the next.
And how did you get Lady Bird?
I auditioned. I was the only person, I think, in the cast that auditioned. Greta had seen everyone else or knew everyone else from their work. And I went in and auditioned for her. And she read Lady Bird, and I read my character as her best friend, Julie. And I remember I left skipping. I just was like, I just genuinely did all I could possibly do in front of someone I love so much. And I love this script more than I've ever loved anything. Like a musical, a book. And I just
really?
like, I felt it so genuinely, like so deeply. I just was like, I did it. I left skipping, and then I ran into my friend from Wesleyan on the street, and we had lunch, and it was just kind of this like magic day. And I was like, something good is going on. I'm trying not to think about it too much. And then 2 weeks went by, and then I found out.
This is a very nice ride so far because your
100%.
first movie you're in, it opens, it's a gigantic hit, and then you get straight into Lady Bird, and I just
happened?
panicked that I was saying the wrong title.
I was like, what's going on?
I know.
What if I did? You should know I have tremors. We should have told you at the beginning.
He poops his pants sometimes.
But to then be in Lady Bird, and then Lady Bird gets nominated for every single thing, and then you get to probably go around and be a part of that whole thing. This is a very hot start.
It gets even crazier because when I was doing Lady Bird, I auditioned for Hello Dolly.
Okay.
And it all happened through that because Scott Rudin and Eli Bush did Lady Bird and they were also doing Hello Dolly.
And they're like seeing you in dailies.
Yeah, and I sing a little bit in Lady Bird. And they were like, we haven't found a Minnie Faye in Hello Dolly yet. Something is telling us maybe you should audition. And I was like, Bette Midler? Sure. Literally, like, honestly, like, I didn't put any pressure on it because I was like, this is not going to be me. Like, I was like, this is Bette Midler's Hello Dolly. Like, this is not going to be me. And I auditioned in LA and found out that day.
No.
What?
No, like, come do it 10 more times for 8.
I thought I was being punked.
Yeah. Good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No.
As it came out, I was like, this is okay.
It's in the lexicon now.
yeah.
It doesn't
It
even have
is,
to be a
right?
reference.
He's like
loves
Kleenex
it.
versus tissue.
He loves it.
I thought I was seeing things. And then I made my agent email it to me so that I could see it in writing. I was like, I think I made up the conversation in my head. Like,
Wow.
this is not real.
How do you take good fortune? I would start getting panicked that I'm either going to get diagnosed with something or something. Some shoe has to drop. It's just my nature. Are you able to just
100%.
take it all on and go like, fuck yeah, this is the ride? Or are you like, I don't deserve this. I'm a fraud. I'll be exposed as being a fraud.
I'll be fired on day one. I got through day one. I'll be fired on day two. No, okay, so we have like a 2-month break before official rehearsals. For sure going to be fired in that span of time.
Right.
Every day was like, this is Hello Dolly on Broadway and I'm standing here.
Will you give me the historical significance of that? Because I'm a Philistine. I don't know.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. It was first presented in 1964
Okay.
with Carol Channing.
Okay.
And it is one of the most like produced, beloved, classic musicals.
Who wrote the music?
Jerry Herman.
Okay. I'm new to that
And
name.
it's adapted from a Thornton Wilder play called
Okay.
The Matchmaker. And it is just joy shoved in 2 hours and put on the stage.
It's an explosion of
An
joy
explosion
and
of
smiles.
color and joy, and Bette Midler is there,
Okay.
leading you through the joy.
You love Bette Midler.
Love.
And like, did you consume her movies as a kid? I guess what I'm saying is, if I were a young Jewish girl, I would be inspired by other Jewish girls who have become stars. I guess that's what I'm.
My
trying
third
to
birthday
tiptoe
was
around.
Funny Girl themed.
It was.
Our Funny Girl is turning 3.
Oh, really?
And I was obsessed with it. I would make my mom play it like every day when I got home from preschool or whatever I was at. Like kids would watch Elmo or like The Little Mermaid. I was like, one more time.
Cue it up.
Babs. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Don't Rain on My Parade and one more time.
Totally off topic. Do you know the Babs song with Barry Gibb or whatever from the Bee Gees?
Yes.
Guilty. This became our theme song on a vacation we just took.
Oh, yes.
Now, I'm not a
Fun.
huge Babs fan.
Fair.
Okay. I feel low rent when I see her or hear her perform. I just feel like I'm a dirty kid from a dirt road. But
Why?
What does that mean?
Unpack
she's
that.
so like perfect and everything. I'm so articulate and
Have you seen Funny Girl?
No, I haven't seen Funny Girl.
It's all about like a scrappy girl
Oh, it
who
is.
doesn't fit in.
Yeah, it's all my issue. I feel like she's an elite. She's an artist, and she sings flawlessly and has
That's
perfect pitch. And what do I know? You know, it's a very intimidating talent level. Probably is what it is.
Fair.
But Guilty with her and Barry. I
haven't listened to it in a long time.
We've been listening to it a lot.
nonstop.
We've been
And we
playing-
got nothing
Yeah,
to
that.
feel guilty. Our love.
So sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm living for it.
The way she's singing offbeat a bunch of times, I'm like, oh, like it zapped me
You're
on
in
this
it.
trip. Yeah, I'm like, she's freestyling. Like it felt gangster to me the way she was fucking with the rhythm of that song.
Totally. I think you should give the first 30 minutes of Funny Girl a try. And if you don't like it, then shut it off.
Okay,
I'm so fine with that.
again right after I watch Lady Bird, I'm gonna give the Funny Girl a shot.
I say you should do Funny Girl first. But that's
Wow.
just me.
Yeah, I should commit an hour and a half to figuring out why I'm triggered by her. Or is
I feel
it?
like
You're
you're
thinking
thinking
of
of Barbra Streisand.
I am. We're both talking about Barbra
Wait, I thought you were
Streisand.
talking about Bette Midler.
Well, we quickly went from Bette
Oh, you switched. You switched.
Sorry,
Yes.
we switched.
Oh.
because we were talking about Jewish role models,
Yes.
female Jewish
Both
role
of
models.
them reign supreme for sure.
And Liza? Is she
Love
in that camp?
Liza. Yeah, but I
Yes.
think I discovered Liza a little bit older
Have
because then
you
I wasn't
seen
old enough to
Arthur?
see Cabaret. No.
Okay, Arthur, I stand by this. Arthur is one of the seminal comedies ever made. It is it's still a great movie. Dudley Moore's a rich drunk. He falls in love with her. She's street trash.
Amazing.
It's a great movie.
See, this is triggering my Jonah anxiety of never having seen anything.
Oh, I'm so
I'm
sorry.
like,
Okay.
oh, I failed
okay.
Dax
No,
and
no, no,
Monica
no.
and Rob.
I wouldn't be shocked if Jonah hadn't seen it. I mean, it's a very old movie, comedy. Anyways,
I need to watch it.
she's phenomenal, Liza. Now we're talking about Liza Minnelli.
Thank you.
Okay,
Keep
another.
everyone up to date on what's going on.
Okay, so how nervous are you to meet Bette?
They're,
The nervousest?
the nervousest.
Okay, yeah, the nervousest.
There are no words.
And is she just gracious and recognizes this gal probably liked me and I'm going to make her feel
She-
included? Or is
what's-
she an asshole?
No, my God. She's so hardworking and she gets right to it. It's like, Beanie, so nice to meet you. Where are we starting? You know what I mean? Like, it's like right in it.
Right.
She's deeply observant.
Mm-hmm.
She takes in everything like a sponge and has the funniest. You can curse here, right?
Oh,
Oh,
God.
The
please.
funniest
You
fucking
must.
thing to say about it. Like, she'll just be watching and then like zing you. I mean, as funny as you think she's gonna be, she's 90 times funnier.
Uh-huh.
Like all of us like actually having to leave the room because we're like laughing so hard.
Right.
But she's the most hardworking human being I've literally ever encountered in my life. She was 71, I think, when we started rehearsals.
Wow.
She's in almost every scene.
I
She
couldn't do a
dances.
Broadway play today at 44.
I was 23 and I was huffing and puffing, and she was like, they would call a break and I would like crawl to my water bottle, and she doesn't sit down. She's like looking at her script. She's picking up her purse that she has in the scene to figure out how she puts it down, taking off the coat, putting back on the coat, figuring out where she's going to hang it up throughout the scene, going over it, talking to David Hyde Pierce, like never stops, and read the script cover to cover before every show.
Oh, wow.
It's just
Wow.
like deeply
Whoa.
deeply inspirational in that way. And you think she's Bette Midler. She could walk on the stage and she's so deeply charismatic and wonderful in every way
well,
that
she's very powerful, right?
so powerful.
Yeah.
Like a force of everything you could want in this world. And she doesn't have to work, but the reason she's Bette Midler is because she works that hard.
And so, obviously, you can't say anything bad about Bette Midler, but you're 26, so I have to imagine you're still at the phase where it's like, it's just all gravy. It's all fun. There's money on the other side of it. There's freedom on the other side of it. There's expression. It's all wonderful. But are you at all observing the older people around you and what levels of fulfillment and happiness they have in our business?
You know, it's so interesting. Every single day I'm on a set, I'm like the first person in the van, too excited to be there, so profoundly grateful that it's like annoying probably to some. But it's genuinely how I feel because I know so many people that are more talented that don't get to do it. But I think specifically with theater, it is such a relentless thing. Like it does not give you permission to stop, that you would not be there if you didn't crave and need and get deeply fulfilled by that feeling and that
Right.
treadmill, like it is not stopping and it will not let you off type of feeling.
Yes.
And so I did feel like for Bette or David Hyde Pierce or Gavin Creel, who's like a musical theater god, or Kate Baldwin, who's the same, like they are there because they still, even at 40, 70, 60, however old they are, feed off of that and
Well,
need that.
Yeah, you would have to, because to your point, and we talked about it a lot with Ben, but the schedule of being in 8 shows a week is brutal on your body and your
Yeah.
voice, on all these things. And I would compare what you're saying a little bit to a friend of mine who is a retired Navy SEAL. He had got offered to come work for Blackwater, this private security company that's huge, to make a tremendous amount of money. And one of his buddies from his team was going to do it. And he said, "Are you going to take this job?" And he said, "This is going to sound so corny, but I think we'll be in a situation where money can't be the reason we're doing it. I don't think it'll work for
Yeah.
what we'll have to do and what we potentially have to deal with.
Right.
You need a belief in something a little bigger than money. And I can do it when I'm working for my country, and I don't think I can do it working for a company."
Yeah.
And I just thought that was like an incredibly
Profound.
astute thing to be aware of.
Totally.
And yeah, to your point, whatever the money is would be very irrelevant in the middle of a run. Like no amount of money is going to tell you you're not exhausted or
No amount of money. When your eyes open in the morning, do you think, can I sing today? Like that fear is so profound.
I couldn't do that.
Lives so deep. I had vocal issues as a kid, and I lost my voice at 9, and then I had to get it back.
Oh boy.
Through speech therapy and singing therapy. And so I think it's like genuine PTSD for me, that feeling of like, will I be able to sing today? And if I don't, I'm letting Bette Midler down. You know, like I'm not, because there's someone beautiful that can understudy me, but I don't want to miss a show in that experience.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I don't
pressure.
know.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I have acted in scenes on TV shows where I've had full-blown food poisoning diarrhea. I can get through it, and I can hold it for 15 minutes
Right.
to do my job.
Yeah.
There's no way I could go and perform on stage for 2 hours and sing my heart out.
It
if
is
I was,
the only thing that gets you down on Broadway. Like you can get through anything, but if you have stomach stuff, it's like literally the only time.
yeah, it's just too risky.
It's just there's a line and that's it. But yeah,
Certainly in the history of Broadway, someone has completely evacuated on stage. There's just no question.
I'm sure.
The odds are there. It's happened.
I had a friend who had multiple friends who have had stories of running off in the middle of shows and then running back on.
Okay, wow. How many shows did you do?
I don't know exactly, but I performed for 10 months.
Okay.
From the beginning and end of rehearsals, it was like a year. I think I did like 300 something shows.
And how many times did your voice not work?
A zero. I missed for Lady Bird sometimes, like a few specific things to go be with them. And then I missed for bereavement. But other than that, I didn't miss any shows because of like illness or anything.
Were you in your relationship at that time?
No.
You weren't?
No.
It kind of can't happen, right? Or can it happen?
I don't know. I do warn her that the next time I do Broadway, I'm like, it's a different human being that you're going to be around.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to prepare her for when that one day hopefully will happen.
Right.
But I don't think she quite understands.
Bonnie?
Bonnie.
Yes.
Bonds. Bon, sure.
Okay.
Her full name is Bonnie Chance with a hyphen in the first name.
I think it would be very misleading to assess someone's quality of life while they're doing the thing that they love so much.
That's so interesting.
I'd be more interested in you like spending a weekend with Bette when there's no work.
Yeah.
And like, what impact does that have on your life to be basically out of commission for a year? Everyone in your circle has to just be patient with that and understanding and not needy and all these things. Like, I doubt anything great comes for free, or even Jonah has been public about it. Like, the time where his career is the most fulfilling and gratifying doesn't mean that it's paralleling his emotional life.
100%.
Almost opposite.
100%. And not to bring it down too much, but like when Lady Bird was coming out at the Oscars or at the SAG Awards or whatever, was right when my brother had passed away.
Your brother...
And people say like, what a year you're having. And I'm like, where are you going with that? Like behind my eyes, I'm like, what do you mean? But like, they'll either say like, and I'm so sorry, or like, and Lady Bird. And you're like, okay, we're rolling with that. You know, like I had to sort of let them lead whatever conversation they were starting because I didn't know what they were going to say. But that's obviously a much more extreme example.
Your oldest brother, Jordan, died in 2017.
Yes.
December. Very prematurely.
Very unexpectedly, yeah.
Yes, just as heartbreaking as it can be for everyone, right?
Yeah.
And
beyond.
How do you explain this? Because you seem like you have a very firm purchase on the ground and reality, and you seem relatively self-aware and happy and making healthy choices.
Thank you.
How do you explain this disparity among siblings? Because there's 3 of us and we have varying levels of how we live and what we've done and all this kind of... Now, my brother and I are both sober, so that makes a ton of sense. My sister and I have different dads, so maybe that's why she hasn't had to get sober yet. But do you think there's like biochemical differences? What kind of things do you think have resulted in this difference of overall well-being?
Jonah and I talk about it all the time because he did this like zine, I guess is what it was called, for A24, where he interviewed all these people about confidence. It's so interesting.
Oh, I gotta see that.
It's so cool. I'll get you one. It's like,
please.
He interviews me, but he also interviews Edie Falco and Catherine Hahn and Bahati, who's a supermodel and our family friend. And Q-Tip and Michael Cera, like the most random, brilliant
Eclectic.
assortment of people on what confidence means to them. And like Bahati's a supermodel.
Really
To
quick,
hear-
I'm just hearing this name for the first time, but the super hot person's name is Bahati.
Bahati.
Oh my goodness, like Hottie.
Bahati is actually how you pronounce it.
I'd be like, oh, you know
Beyonce.
my buddy, he's a quarterback for the Dolphins. His name is fucking B Ripped. B Studley.
Truly.
Yeah, B
That's what
Hottie.
we're working with.
I wonder if her mother, like your mother, was like, I knew she was
grew
going to
up
be
in
a
South
hottie.
Africa. I don't know if that was. I mean, it's too good to be true. Their wedding, because she's married to Adam Levine, who's our godbrother.
Okay.
And their wedding was literally just supermodel. Like
Oh, wow.
So like think about the aisle was literally just a Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Oh, my God.
And it was 190 degrees, and
Swimwear was mandatory.
me and my best friends Megan and Katie were there. Were like literally like the sweat. I've never sweat like that in my life, and we're just watching Victoria's Secret models walk. We're like, what is this? But her and Jonah are very close, and so he interviews her. It was really fascinating. Ours was really fascinating, even to me, who's a part of that dynamic, because we have such different relationships to our bodies or confidence in general, and we talked a lot about basically what you asked.
Yeah.
You know, obviously I had a lot of time alone with our parents, which is a beautiful thing. And also it's a unique thing. He didn't have that because he was sort of with one of us at any
Yeah.
time that he was growing up. But I think that finding theater at such a young age gave me this, I love something so much, and I had the privilege of being good at it from like a baby, like before I can remember.
Right.
Really
You could
where
hang
I-
your confidence on that.
100%.
Right.
And that's where I credit it too, because I was just like, well, this is my thing.
Identity. It gives you a solid identity.
And a community, the theater community,
Yes.
even on like a community like theater level, is so vibrant and beautiful and welcoming, and
Yeah.
it gives you a group of people to connect to and somewhere to be every day and a sense of purpose and time management and all of these things that Jonah didn't have that exact. He always loved comedy, but he didn't have like an outlet for it necessarily at that age. And Jordy had sports and other things that he did. So I think that definitely has something to do with it, but I definitely hang my hat on it.
What was the name of his skateboard movie?
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s. So I saw Mid-90s. I was by myself at a hotel recently, and I watched it, and I absolutely loved
Over
it.
Lady Bird, whatever.
Loved
I know,
it.
right?
Boys skateboarding. Yeah.
Just kidding.
But I was really genuinely loved it. I thought it was so great, and I related so much. The world for me as a boy, I won't speak for all boys, but it does sound like the world for Jonah as a boy was like a very scary, threatening, hostile,
Cut and dry.
fucking Lord of
Yeah.
the Flies, masculinity off at all times. If I'm Jonah, I don't know how he finds that.
I think it was through comedy. I mean, I wasn't in school with him at the time, but he was like for sure the class clown, and that was his superpower. It is his superpower.
It is his
But I
superpower.
think his depth of thought and feeling is also his superpower, but he didn't explore that until he was like maybe a bit older.
Right. Can I tell you one really funny story about your brother?
I beg.
Okay, so I first met him through Shauna Robertson. So Shauna was good friends with Jonah, and she had just done 40-Year-Old Virgin. She had produced it, and she invited me to lunch, and she invited this kid with her. Now, 40-Year-Old Virgin is not out. I haven't seen it.
Right.
I don't know anything about him. And he is very nice, and he is very complimentary to me. And he tells me at one point, I want you to be in my movies. And at that time, I was like, oh, okay, all right. What do you mean your movies? How
You want to
about
like flick him across the room?
well, it's just like maybe I would put you in one of the movies I'm in now.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't even seen him act, and he's like, I want to put you in movies. And I probably didn't give a very great reaction. I then came to really regret that. As he,
Yeah, you should be in his movies.
I would die to be in any of his movies. The joke was definitely on me. I remember at a certain point, like, I don't know if it was during Superbad or something he had written on, and I was just like, oh, that motherfucker I was sitting with, I should have said, I'd love to be in your movies. Well, let me sign up with you now. He probably doesn't even remember that conversation. B, if he does, he probably could give a shit. But part of me hopes that he's thought at times like, I would never put you in my movie now. I'm going to make you eat that reaction.
Not at all. He truly,
But then
like,
I was
we
so-
love you guys. too much, perhaps.
Yeah, but it's just a very funny, like, when does that happen to you when you're sitting with the next Jonah Hill and he says that and you're like, okay, yeah, let's.
But confident.
You're
He found
very
his confidence that day, let me
Yeah.
tell you.
But it's a good lesson. You should not underestimate
It
anybody. We were at a restaurant yesterday. There were a lot of people are clearly working on their scripts, like a lot of people. And it kind of triggers like, yikes, like everyone here is going to be disappointed. And really, you should just have the opposite opinion of like, everyone here could be Jonah
That's right. Or Beanie.
or Beanie.
You just don't know.
It's a better outlook to have.
But
that
in my
one.
defense,
No.
a couple hundred people had said that to me that didn't turn out to be
Okay,
Jonah. So,
well,
you know, if you're just playing the, I don't really know
100%.
I don't know what the lesson is for me to learn, but I think that's funny and I wanted
That's
to publicly
really
state
funny.
that I underestimated him and I hope that he has made me pay and please put me in any one of your movies.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
All in all, having done Hello Dolly, and I imagine it was a very fulfilling, wonderful experience and
The best of my whole life.
and then also an incredible beatdown physically and all those things.
Yeah, I still, to this day, I'm like, my toe, when I broke my toe in Hello Dolly, that still hurts a little bit.
What's the craziest mishap that ever happened during a performance?
I think I can say this.
I'm sure you can.
I'll just say it anyway.
We can cut it if you
As
want.
the fear of authority still lives in me. I'm like, well, am I? No, I can because people saw it happen. So
There you go.
therefore, the first preview of Hello Dolly, the first time I am ever on Broadway in front of a paying audience. My parents are there, but honestly, that's the last thought in my mind. I'm going to be on Broadway today. My best friend in the world, who also is I play his girlfriend or like love interest, but puppy love in Hello Dolly. His character's name is Barnaby. My character's name is Minnie. They're like the sweet, young, kind of dopey lovers that end up together in the show. And there's this song called Dancing where Dolly, Bet, teaches the young lovers to dance. She wants them to couple up. So she's kind of like pushing them into each other's arms.
Instigating.
Exactly. Because she's the matchmaker. So she's like, making it happen. And the setup is that I'm looking at the luminous Kate Baldwin who is singing and she plays Mrs. Malloy. And then Bet turns me to look at Barnaby, Taylor's character, takes off my glasses and pushes me to him and we start dancing. And then this huge dance number starts where we leave the stage and the incredible ensemble comes out and does this like incredible dance break for like 4 minutes. And it's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. I am listening to Kate. I turn around and Taylor is not there.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Just not there.
He's not with us.
Not there.
I hope it wasn't a diarrhea situation. Like we
I hope
talked
it
about.
was.
It was a vomit situation.
Oh, okay, great.
No.
Great.
He something really upset his stomach.
Yeah.
And there was like a little something going around. And after the show, he was like, I either was going to vomit on Bet or I was going to vomit off stage. And I made that decision.
Right.
Yeah.
I had some bad decisions.
But I was out there without my dance partner on Broadway.
Oh,
the
wow.
first
Wow.
night
First
I had ever
night.
been
So what do
on
you do?
Broadway.
Dance
Yeah,
by
where you
yourself
just-
or you
Oh,
pretend?
geez.
Oh, I fully blacked out. So I couldn't, this is not me telling you what I did, but other
Right.
people telling me what I did. I knew that if I put my arms up, it would be very clear that he was missing. But because his character's so scared, it actually got a big laugh when he ran off
Sure.
because people thought he was just too nervous to dance and it like really worked timing wise. I think I just like held my heart and like swayed a little bit because I was like, if I put my arms up, it'll look like there's a missing
You
human.
can't space work another human.
And I can't spin myself and do all of these things that he's like partnering me to do.
Yeah.
So I just like sang and like stood there. And
But is it a duet? Is he
it's
supposed to
all
be singing
four of
as
us
well?
are singing at this point. So,
Okay, so
at
you
least
could
I
do it
wasn't
without him.
at least I wasn't alone on that.
So the show just went on. You guys just pretended it was.
And Taylor is literally a magician and the most thoughtful, incredible human being, and was back on within the dance break. Like, was back on within the
Wow.
number.
Okay.
A true fighter and extremely resilient. But I was like, he's gone and he's back.
And-
Just like that. It kind of was poor Taylor.
Sure.
But it was a blessing for me because I was like, it was the first night and something happened. So I
And
guess
you made it through.
I guess
Yeah.
if something else happens, I'll be okay.
Well, Ben similarly said that the first time they debuted Evan Hansen, the stage started malfunctioning
Yeah.
and it was just clicking and breaking and all asunder,
I
as
love
they would
it.
say.
That's why theater is the best. Because you
Yeah.
have to watch human behavior
It's
happen.
dangerous.
Can I tell you the uniquely selfish joy I would take in it is that
100%.
I would be so afraid I was going to fuck up. So if anyone else fucked up, I'd be like, oh, thank God.
Fuck up, he just literally
Well,
was.
he shit the bed. I mean, the guy had to go and throw up off stage. It's not ideal.
I think it's, when I saw Legally Blonde, her wig fell off, and that's like a night I'll never forget. It's those moments that you're like,
Yeah.
well, actually, I'm happy something crazy happened.
Yes. So is there someone you hold as the North Star? Is there someone's career who you want?
I would say no. I think there's so many women specifically, because I am one that I admire and I would hope to be like, but I don't think there's one specific path that I could say that's the exact path that I would want to take. Laurie Metcalf's career, in the sense that she has seamlessly transitioned between all mediums her whole career, is really inspirational to me. But if we're going into like the minutia of it, she doesn't do musicals, she does plays. So it's like there's no specific one person that I could say that is it, that is the ultimate goal. But I, as you guys know, because you're two of the people that I admire, I love really hard. Like, I'm just a fan. Like, I love loving things.
Yes.
And so there's so many people and shows and writers and directors that I just worship that I would love to work with, but there's not one specific path that I could say, well, that's it.
Okay, let me ask you something personal.
Okay.
When I read on Wikipedia, it says openly queer. Now, is
Yeah.
that something that's a nomenclature you pick?
I don't know if I have picked, but if there
okay.
were to be one that I would pick, I would say queer, because I see it as like an umbrella term.
Yeah, tell me about it. Because when I grew up, that was a pejorative.
Of
to call
course,
someone
yeah.
queer.
To me, it means anything that is not straight.
Okay.
So just like a general umbrella heading
Uh-huh.
for not straight. My girlfriend is a girl, my partner is a girl. So therefore I'm not straight
Right.
by just that fact, right?
Yes.
So I think I've said queer has been said to me and I just nod, but I don't know if I've picked a word.
Right.
And that's like nerve-wracking to say, but also like I feel like if I heard someone say that, that would be really helpful to me and be like, oh, I don't need to like know
Right.
some,
Yeah.
label or something. I just can be in love.
Yeah.
But it's not that I'm ignoring that part of my identity. Does that make sense? It's not like I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just her and really it's just this one person. I'm like, no, I love her and she's a girl and therefore I am not straight.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is not a phase. This is like a real thing and a real part of my life.
How long have you been together?
A year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever had boyfriends?
One real boyfriend.
One real
Yeah.
boyfriend. And when you were with the boy, were you doing what you thought you were supposed to do, or were you just genuinely attracted to the boy at that time? And
I loved and continue to love him. We were like friends when we were younger and we met through bed actually.
Oh, okay.
And I just really like loved him.
sure.
And then he wanted to kiss me and I kissed him back. And then we were like on and off for like years.
Uh-huh.
And I really loved him. Once we were together, I was like, I'm not in love with you,
Right.
but I really love you.
Sure.
And that was something I couldn't really, I don't think, admit to myself.
Uh-huh.
Jonah referred to me up until Bond as Dexter,
Dexter, the serial killer?
the serial killer of relationships.
Oh, tell me how.
He was like, you're ice cold. Like, you're literally an ice cube.
Oh.
Interesting.
And he was like, it's so bizarre because you're like a very warm, outgoing person and like you love people and that's so much of who you are. And then the way you talk about men is like nothing I've ever heard. Like, you're ice. Like, you're literally a glacier. And he started calling me Dexter. And I sort of embraced it. I was like, this is not for me. I love my friends like too much. I love my family too much. I love my work. This is maybe just something I don't get. Like, I have everything else. I think I just sort of was like, I'm not asexual, but I'm not like super sexual by any means. And I'm lukewarm. Not at all where my focus is. And with my ex-boyfriend, I was like, I love you and I trust you. And so it wasn't scary and I didn't hate it, but I just was sort of like, okay.
Yeah, if
That's
this
it.
is the thing,
This
then I
is
guess
the
I don't
thing.
really need the thing.
I don't get why people like talk about it all the time and like write about it, make songs about it. But I'm like, I love him so much and I trust him so much that like this is not bad.
Right. That
And
makes
then I
sense.
met Bon.
So you meet Bonnie.
Yes, Bon
Where do you meet her?
in London.
Okay. Ooh, what a romantic place to meet.
She's British and Jewish.
Wow.
So did I do
What a
it
combo.
Wow.
Yeah.
You met Bon in London. What were you doing in London? Why were you there? You have no business in London.
What were you doing? Who allowed you in there? I was auditioning for a movie called How to Build a Girl, and Bon was one of the producers of the film.
Oh, so this is
Scandalous?
torrid. Yeah. There's a power dynamic.
Well, the rule follower in me, the first time we kissed, I was like, is this illegal? And she was like, no.
Illegal.
And I was like, it's illegal. What if it's illegal in the UK and I don't know the rules here?
Sure.
What if that's not allowed?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the rule follower in me was like, still, as I say that she is a producer, I'm like, oh, it sounds bad.
Okay, so you go to London and you audition. She is in the audition?
She's in the audition.
Okay, and do you immediately like see her and go like, oh, she's sparkly? Or
Yes, I immediately am a like friend for life. Like
Okay.
I love this girl. She is one of my people now. I feel like we've met before, but she grew up in Liverpool, which is Northern England.
oh, does she got a great accent?
Great accent, grew up on Penny Lane.
Oh,
So she's just like a full
she's a
she's just a
Beatle.
little Beatle girl.
Yeah.
And I just was so taken with her and we felt so similar and different in all the right ways, but she was sparkly. Like I just was like that girl.
Now, can you do her accent?
Not at
You
all.
don't do a good impersonation
Well,
of her?
my accent in the film is a West Midlands UK accent, which is a very regional, specific accent, very different from hers. And
Can you do yours? Or is it you got to like wind up for it?
a
I know it's a
little-
lot of pressure. I
I'm
know
not
it's
an
a-
accent savant. I will start by saying that. It was
I'm
something
terrible.
I really had to work at.
So I'll just start like this because it's embarrassing and I'm doing a terrible job at it. And my job is so terrible at it that maybe you'll go, fuck it. If he's going to sound that bad, then I can sound this good.
Beyond perfect. I'm erasing my sound and putting it in the movie. So what really like a naive American, I was like, there's two British accents. There's Downton Abbey and then there's like Cockney. And
That's what I think, by the way.
if you were to say lovely in what you would think of as like a British accent.
Lovely.
Yeah, that was actually closer to a Midlands accent. Most people would say like lovely.
Oh,
And,
lovely.
And the Midlands accent is lovely.
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 Oh, I like that because it has kind of a Scottish ring to it. You know how everything Scottish is like a question.
Submit
Even it's like,
the
you're
Winton
on
accent."
fire? But hold on.
Like
Are you-
Irish too,
are
yeah.
you inviting me to be on fire or am I currently on fire?
Tell me quickly.
You're on fire?
Yeah. So Birmingham is the closest city that people would know to Wolverhampton, which is so it's all where Caitlin Moran grew up, and it's her book, and she wrote the screenplay, and it's her life story, a fictionalized version of her life. So I play a fictionalized version of her, and Wolverhampton, where she grew up, it's close to Birmingham, which is like the Peaky Blinders accent, if you know that accent.
Oh,
I
fucking
love
Peaky
it.
Blinders.
Yeah, so it's closest to that. It's a cousin of that, although the people in Wolverhampton were like, Beanie, if you do a Birmingham, which is called a Brummie, they were like, if you do a Brummie accent, we will never speak to you again.
Oh,
Like, it was
wow.
like
Jeez.
serious, but like from like a very novice ear, they sounded so similar.
Oh,
so
for
I was
sure.
like in the trenches. I worked in a store in Wolverhampton for 3 weeks.
You did?
To get the accent, I was like, had forced to speak in the accent from the moment I walked in to the moment I left. I worked the till. The cash register, and
You were
yes.
actually working like you had to fucking manage the till and
Yes.
not come up with the wrong number at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it's different
like,
money, let me tell you. So.
I'm pretending I'm in a movie. Here's your change for £20, £48.
Oh god, I've been laughing about that for hours. No, I had to, it was a quiet store, so it wasn't like,
Oh, thank God.
a busy supermarket or something, but it was a really special experience. I'm like the opposite of someone who stays in character or accent
Right.
during anything, so it was really hard for me because I was like, that was my task, was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for basically a month before we started shooting, like
And as
to
embarrassed
stay
as you
in the
might feel
accent.
doing it on camera, at least that's pretend. But to be doing
Yeah.
it in real life and sound like a bozo, the stakes are even higher.
The first day I was like, this is literally the most mortifying experience I've ever done. I like went in and I was like, these beautiful, it's like kind of this feminist utopia in the middle of this very forgotten town. It's these women that all do different crafts and artisan work and they sell their work in a cooperative. And it's just like so sweet. It's called The Shop in the Square.
See, this is why we're afraid to give women power, because you're going to turn us into a communism. I knew it. I knew it. I'm just teasing.
And so I went in and I was like, look, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so nervous. My accent's so half-baked. I like, this is not what it's going to be in the movie, but you have to help me. Like, anytime I say something wrong, please do not be afraid to tell me. And they did.
Oh,
They're
they
like, Bean, try again. I was like, okay.
Oh, so they knew. I thought maybe it was like a
Imposter.
No, they did know.
Okay.
They did know, and they were really sweet. So it was like a really unique, beautiful, scary challenge.
And now back to Bonds.
Back to Bonds.
Okay, so you see her in this audition. You're like sparkly, want to be attached.
Yes.
And then how does the courtship happen?
So then I got the role, and then I was filmed Booksmart. And 2 days after Booksmart, I was in Wolverhampton. It was like really, really quick turnaround. And I remember talking to my mom, and she was like, "Are you really nervous to go do this? You're the only American in this movie. It's like a deeply British film, and you're like, you're in more of it than you've ever been in anything." She was really making me nervous.
Sure.
And I was like,
Giving you all the reasons
well,
you should be
it's
scared.
like my dad before the first day of Hello Dolly. I'm literally on the subway. Calls me and he goes, "So I was just reading up on Minnie Faye, and it says that she has to be a dancer. Are you concerned about that?" I'm on my way to meet Bet. Why are you doing this to me? No, but my mom was like, "Are you nervous to go? And you're going to be gone for like 3.5 months." And I was like, "But Bond's going to be there." And she was like, "Who the hell is Bond?" And I was just like, "Oh, like she's going to be my friend. Trust me. Like she's this Wonder Kid producer. She's 27. Like she's my girl. Like don't worry about it." And then I came back and in love and with her. And we just spent every day together. Like it was like, let's have breakfast at 9 a.m. And then it would be 11 p.m. We'd be like, guess it's not breakfast anymore. And we're still staring at each other and talking.
Was it very obvious to you that she liked you sexually?
No, she's been out since she was like 16.
Okay.
And she was always like open and knew that about herself. She's also very warm and touchy, as am I, like very tactile. So I was like, just because she's touchy and gay doesn't mean she likes me. That'd be so presumptuous of me to
Come on.
think that. But she really is. Like she would like hold your shoulder and like give you like a hug. And like she's just like, that's who she is. And I love that.
Yeah.
Because I'm that way too. So I was like, that's so presumptuous of me to like assume that it's any different with me. And it was all really, I'm such an, as you can probably tell, cut me off at any point, such an extroverted person. Like I really feed off of other people's energy and I understand things once I say them out loud. I don't work out a lot in my own head. I have to externalize it before I understand it. But with Vaughn and that whole story, it was like the first time I was alone, like because of my schedule and the time difference, I couldn't talk to anyone really about it. I was, for the first time, really going on my own personal experience of it. And my best friend there was her, so I couldn't talk to her about it.
Right.
So it was really like genuinely, 25, like the first alone, true decision or feeling that came just like wholly from me.
Well, so then who made the first move?
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a very well-worn American English tradition that the American makes the first
We
move.
talk about,
Yeah.
No, I thought,
Oh no, that's all fucked up. Right.
Yeah, the
She should have
English
not.
person makes the
English woman
first.
should have. Wow.
Who
okay,
else
so
has this dynamic?
we're so scared to even get back into it, but I learned in an anthro class that an inordinate amount of English females became pregnant from American GIs during World War II, but not proportionally the same amount of American women being impregnated by English guys. They were curious about it. They wanted to study it. And what they discovered was in this culture, the woman has the brake. The man's supposed to pursue, and the
Yes.
woman has the brake. But in England, the man is supposed to put on the brake. We should wait. So you got these two people together with no brake pedal, babies galore. And we've not been able to find this fucking study that I read. Yes. So, but I guess you're right. This
is the
dynamic was the opposite. But you made
It's
the
two
first.
women too, so like
that's true.
what to do with that?
Who knows? Who knows?
I made the first move. My move.
Legally, it's best for you to make the first move because you're not the boss.
That is true. I would just like to make that clear that I made the first move. No, I genuinely did. At this point, the tension between us was like, cut that with a
cut that
blunt knife. And she drove me home from work one day and we were going to get dinner and we parked and I was like, let's just stay in the car. Like Americans talk in cars. I was like, that was my big move. I was like, like I had to drive everywhere growing up because LA is like no public transportation. But I was always in the car and I feel like that's where like my most meaningful talks were. And I really like went on this whole thing about cars and I was like, let's talk in the car.
Right.
And that was my big like move to get us to talk about what was actually going on. And I was like, what's going on? And then we really talked for a long time because we both cared about our friendship so much and also cared so deeply. There was such a big opportunity for both of us, that the film.
Career-wise.
Yeah.
And it meant so much to us. And we really didn't want to do anything that would mess that up or get in the way with that or distract
By the way,
from that.
you and I
Like
are-
I always say, it was like the puzzle was all filled in. The last piece was us actually kissing, but it was love. It was very clear that it wasn't just like, oh, we're going to try
Roll
something.
around
It's
and-
literally just like we are in love or we stop. We know that, but we're not going to follow that
Yeah.
path. So we talked for a really long time and very like deeply about how much our friendship means to us and how much the job means to us. And then I just kissed her.
Ugh.
After like 2 hours of saying we shouldn't kiss, I was like, let's just,
Now, you had kissed in the past.
in general.
People?
Yes, you had
Yes,
kissed in the
yes.
past. But then you kissed this time.
Yes.
And was it wholly different?
1000%.
Oh, I
was like,
that.
well, they write songs. I get it.
Ah.
But genuinely, like it was, I think it's just because I was in love with her.
Right.
The physical part had not happened yet, but it was so clear to me.
It was a foregone conclusion.
100%.
Well, that's fantastic. How deep into production were you when this happened? Halfway through. Well, and then you're navigating a new relationship, and it's never, even when both people are madly in love with each other. In fact, even acknowledging it now, you start evaluating things you weren't even before you said that, because now you're like, oh, I'm in love, so I'm going to be with this person. Well, this person snores, and this is the person I'm going to be with. Like, there's all kinds of stupid mental shifts that can happen. So was it all like working together and then having both admitted to each other and then kissed and we're now a thing? Did it complicate anything on the backside or no? It went swimmingly?
It really went swimmingly.
Oh, that's
I think I also love that I got to see her at work and vice versa because she's the head of film at her company and I've filmed other things and worked on other things. We know how the other person is at work. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but like I couldn't envision how dedicated she was to what she does if I hadn't physically been there and seen it.
Right.
And she's like if I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe that you don't bring your phone to set. I would be like, she's just ignoring me or she
Right.
doesn't. She's like
Right.
texting someone else or everyone brings their phone. Like I wouldn't believe you that you turn it off.
Yes, that you're the
And-
one actor out of a million who's turning their phone off.
Yeah. And she was like, but then I watched it for 8 weeks or whatever it was. So now I know the next time when you're shooting, it's so amazing because I know she literally won't answer this for 12 hours
Yeah.
or
Right.
15 hours or whatever it is. And that won't be concerning. Or when she's like deep in a script and working on it and developing it, I know what that looks like and how that presents itself in her. And she's so incredible at what she does. Like she truly is a magician.
Yeah.
That as nervous as I was, because I'm such a rule follower and the combination of personal life and work had never happened for me before.
Right.
I was so thrilled on the other side to know, like, how honored am I to get to see firsthand how brilliant she is. Mm-hmm. And that was special, I think,
Yeah.
retroactively.
So how are you guys seeing each other? Are you going to England a lot? Does she come here a lot? Both.
Yeah.
So you've now spent a bunch of time in England, more than you ever have in your life.
Tons, yeah.
Do you love it?
I love it.
You do. You love
I
it.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I left England after like 3 months and I was so ruthlessly ripped apart by my friends and family for saying like literally and like certain things that I would notice and they'd be like, oh, literally. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like it's so embarrassing. Like, am I Madonna? No.
I haven't seen it. I tried to watch it this morning. It's not available yet, which is good. That means it's still in theaters. But our friend Jess Rowland, who we trust a lot, said Booksmart's the best movie he saw this year. And so that really got me. That's what instigated. I was like, I need to see that. I really want to check her out in that movie. And then I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, that looks phenomenal, actually. And have you watched the trailer?
I
don't wanna
watched the
put you on
trailer, but I
spot.
haven't seen the movie. I really want to
So
see
Really,
it.
really cute idea. These two, you and your very best friend,
Yes.
have been perfect, and they are Yale bound or Princeton bound.
Yeah.
And then they look around and realize all the people that were having fun are also doing just fine. They're going to go to good colleges too, and then they're going to go out and get fucking buck wild before they take off.
Yeah, I mean, is it super bad?
It's adjacent, right?
With the gals? Or
You
no?
know-
Not really.
Well,
Oh, here's where we'll get a chip on your shoulder.
yeah, you saw it
Yeah,
happen.
I
You
saw it
saw
happen.
it behind my eyes.
I watched your physical move.
I was like, well, because I'm so conflicted because half of me goes, what a fucking honor.
Well, yeah.
Superbad is unbelievable. The movie of that, like a generation, it is like everything you could love in a movie. It's
Totally.
such a forever movie. People love it so much still. So part of me is like, thank you. And the other part of me is like, ugh.
The comparison.
Yeah, well, not even because it's Jonah, but more because like, why do
Because it's
movies?
male, female.
we
Yeah,
have to
why
make
do we have to be the girl version of a boy movie?
Right.
Whereas like
Right.
you would never say like a guy movie is like
Oh, is
the
that-
male ladybird. You know what I mean?
The
like I
male
don't
Thelma and Louise.
exactly.
Right,
like
right,
you
right.
would never
Yeah.
say that. So I feel
Yeah.
like I'm so conflicted. I think that's what
Sure.
you saw on my face. It was like, well, thanks. And then the
Yeah.
other part of me is like, do we have to be like the female version of a boy movie?
Yeah.
Why are those movies and more female movies?
Right, but I,
That makes sense,
I think I'm more, bad moms, so it's like girls' hangover. Well, no, they're nothing. There's no
Right.
connective tissue at all. But I would say Superbad, beyond going out and having a party, it was one of the first movies that two friends were so blatantly in love with each other, and you get to
100%.
see the value of that.
1000%. And that's what I love to say is like, it is the first movie that gave permission to celebrate a genuine friendship within like a raucous time. It gave room for like a vulnerability.
That's what I like most about the movie. I was like, that's me and my best friend
The
Aaron
boot
Weekly.
moment.
We snuggled. We were like in love. We're still in love.
100%.
We're not sexually in love, but everything but that.
Yeah, the jokes are amazing, but the boop moment is when they're like snug as a bug and little sleeping bag is like the best.
That's the movie. That's what
And
makes it memorable.
100%.
Yeah.
My character Molly and Caitlin's character Amy owes that friendship and its existence within like a big comedy is so owed to Seth and Evan.
Yeah.
But I think like part of me is like, ugh.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
get
Yeah,
it.
which
I
that
get
makes
it.
sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's so special. And I think because I love my friends so hard and I was also like a deep rule follower, not in the same way that my character is, but I think I would understand if I was that type of personality, like the genuine frustration that I would feel if I discovered that I was wrong, the whole time. And that's what my character is going through. She's like, you're telling me I was fucking wrong for 4 years and you dimwits are going to Yale with me? Like,
Yeah.
stop talking. That's insane. I have to go do something about it. Caitlin, who plays Amy, honestly, watch it for her performance. She's so unbelievable in it. It's beyond. And my best friend in the world, who Ben and I grew up with, Molly Gordon, plays my enemy in the movie. So that was
that's fun.
so fun because she's the one who's like, I'm amazing at hand jobs, but I also got a great score in the SATs. She
yes.
is the one who like instigates the whole movie for me and is like, I'm also going to Yale, like, see you there. And I am like, this fucking bitch got into Yale, and in real life, it's my best friend in the whole world who I snuggle with and share food with and would, do everything with. And so that was so special and fun that we got to work together. And Olivia and Katie Silberman, the writer, is one of my favorite people.
What else has she written?
She wrote Set It Up on Netflix with Zoe Deutsch.
It was a very big hit
Okay.
for Netflix.
Yes.
I'm aging out of a lot of stuff, I have to admit. And
I don't think that.
actors'
I feel
names
like
in
I
their
was always
20s.
meant to be 60. I'm just working my way there. Maybe even 70. Like growing
Sure.
up, I always played like 80-year-old grandmas in every musical. So I'm like just working my way to a bubby status. Like I am a bubby at my heart.
I would say Kristen on some levels very
Yeah.
much that too. She was like born to be a grandma. Well, Beanie, you are as charming and lovely and kind and sweet and bright and sparkly as all of your the people that have said that to me. They were all right. It's been confirmed.
This is literally my dreams coming true right now. I can't believe this is happening.
Oh, that makes us so
Thank
happy.
you for having
does.
me.
It's
Thanks
very
for
flattering
coming.
that you like it so much.
I made you really dorky gifts that I'm going to give
Oh,
you. Should I give you to them right on while
Yes,
this
of
is
course
happening?
you should.
Yes,
Of course.
So
love presents.
Shay, my mom, and
Dax,
I
again.
have gotten really into beading.
Oh,
I made you little Armcherries bracelets.
oh my god!
You can decide which one you want between the two of you.
I'll pick first.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oh my god!
I think
they're
one
both
might be
so
smaller.
cute. I'll take the smaller one. I don't want to throw it.
Why not? I think it looks durable.
Well, I know, but I don't.
Oh,
She had all the beads lying around, and last night I was like,
Oh,
what
this
could
is
I do?
too cute. Love it.
Armcherries. You know what? This is really nice.
Yeah,
and
it
I am going
is.
to wear it.
there is a, like, once a day when I'm like, should I just give it up and be a nanny? It's my true calling. Like,
You love
genuinely.
it. So you'll have babies. You'll do that.
I want thousands.
Yeah. Well,
I'm very short though, so I feel like I'll just topple over when I like. Where's it gonna
how
go?
tall are you?
5'1".
That's Kristen's height. She
was fine.
birthed 2 of my children.
Yeah,
she did fine.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's gonna.
You're just a little taller than Monica. Monica's 4'11.5.
Nope. 5 feet and a half inch.
She's right. I measured
My
her.
parents got me a cupcake when I hit 5 feet because I didn't think it would happen. So I
deal.
understand.
Yeah,
That's wonderful.
deal.
We're barely an inch apart.
A cupcake. All right, Beanie.
This
I
is
love
heaven.
you.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming.
Thank you.
I love you more.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman. Me undies. Song stuck in my head now, and I like it.
Oh. Give them some free love.
Why not? We love it.
We do love it.
Yeah. We're in love with
I
our
think
panties.
you should make the song about Beanie Babies.
Oh, yeah. Oh, was there a Beanie Baby song?
No. But you
Beanie,
could make
beanie,
one.
Beanie. Oh, Beanie, do 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 do. Oh, shaga shaga da 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 da. She is my beanie girl. You know her last name's Feldstein. That's pretty good.
I loved it. I loved it.
What do you have? You would have used the words differently, probably. Beanie,
Well, I didn't think we need the part about her last name.
Oh, okay.
But the other parts I really enjoyed
Okay.
a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's a little extra context as to which beanie we're talking about.
That's true. There's so many beanies these days.
I know.
Yeah, I'd say 1 in 3 people that I meet are named Beanie.
I wish. I love it. It's the cutest thing.
It is a cute name. And then really, she delivers on that
I
promise.
I know. That's the hard thing about naming a kid Beanie.
They could be a dud.
Yes.
Yes, but she in this case, she writes a check her ass can cash.
That's right.
Yeah, we're generally warning people about not writing checks their ass can't cash.
Right.
Yeah, but in this case, no need to warn her.
Sure.
Great. What did we find out about her? Is she full of shit?
No.
Oh, okay.
Never.
What if your conclusion, you just go, you know what? I'm not going to get granular with this. I'm not going to go through every detail. She was full of shit.
She talked about children being born later than they used to be. In 2016, for the first time ever, there were more women in their early 30s having babies than younger moms. There were 103 births per every 100,000 American women between 30 and 34 years old. Oh, in 2016. Among women ages 25 to 29, there were 102 births. So it's very close.
I'm so confused. What is it? Women are having children later in life?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
The average age when women have their first child now is 28, up from 24.6 in 1970.
Oh, okay. So 3.4 years later.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to have some technological breakthrough so that women don't feel any pressure to have them at any time, like a man, you know?
Yeah.
A guy can have his first child at 98 years old.
Well, you can freeze your eggs and do that.
Yeah. I wonder if a granny can put those eggs in. You think? I wonder what the oldest...
Well, I wonder if menopause has to
Oh,
do
right.
with it.
Right. Don't you think they could delay the onset of menopause with all the different hormone
Medications?
replacements and
Yeah, maybe.
keep you super fertile up to like 85? Imagine a grandma being rolled into the operating room and them yelling, push, push. Like, just picture your grandma right now on a gurney
She would be injured. She'd
by
be
the
injured.
procedure,
Yeah.
right? By the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be worried about her.
Yeah.
You go into the maternity ward at Cedars, and there's like many 75-year-old women with curlers in their hair
Right.
being rushed into the delivery room to push out a brand new baby.
Do you think people who are 75 were curlers? Mm-hmm. You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because all my grandparents wore curlers and their friends wore curlers.
But maybe they were in their 50s.
Well, you're right. I could have a totally wrong idea of what age they were. The
just
curlers were really popular.
I know. I used them.
You did? Mm-hmm. In what?
Like
Junior high?
Yeah, like middle school. For cheerleading, when I was in cheerleading in 8th grade, we had one competition a year.
Okay.
And we all had to wear our hair so like the tightest curl you could get.
Spiral curls?
Yeah, but so tight. Like they ended up being about 1 inch long because they were so tight.
Oh, my goodness. How did they accomplish that?
Sponge curlers.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Would you,
And you slept in
please do them for me for my birthday this year? Could that be my present?
Fine, maybe. I'll
Speaking
consider
of
it.
which, your birthday is Saturday.
It is Saturday.
And I've been really just beating myself up. I don't have like a boom, where I know what to get you.
You don't need to get me
No, I
anything.
do.
No,
I do.
you
I do, and I will.
No.
You just might hate it.
Well, I won't hate it.
Do you need a gas-powered chainsaw? Like a real nice one?
You just got yours.
I got
Don't
an
give it
electric
to
one.
me.
I got an electric one. I love it.
Oh, good. Have you used it yet?
Yeah, I cut down the trees in back that were dead and we're leaning on the other trees. Remember there was a rumored rattlesnake
Yes.
on the branch above the pool?
Yeah.
Well, I got rid of that branch.
Wow. Did you find the snake?
No, I don't believe there ever was a snake. Because I looked for it like 6 or 7 times. But you know what? I'm not going to convince anyone in the house there's not a snake in there. So just get rid of the branch. But
That's a good method.
I got to say, I grew up operating a gas-powered chainsaw. And they were so noisy. They're 2 strokes, so you're choking on like all this exhaust of it. I mean, granted, it does feel great to grab that throttle and really give it hell. But this is my first time with an electric chainsaw. It just sliced through like butter. Quiet. I loved it. Sexy unit.
Yeah.
I had a good time. I don't want to cut down more trees because I don't desire to cut down trees, but I do want to run that thing through some more lumber.
All right. I understand.
You know what I'd really like to do is, how they build log cabins? They build the whole thing with logs, right? And then they cut out the doors and windows with chainsaws.
Yeah. That's nice.
I'd love to cut out some windows and doors and
Maybe you have another career in that.
in my retirement when I'm mowing the lawn at the Veterans Cemetery.
Yeah.
So that's my ultimate goal, as you know.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want that for my birthday. No,
You don't want a
thank you.
chainsaw?
No, thank you.
What do you want?
Don't really want anything.
Be honest.
I know I don't. I
You
really don't. Isn't
LASIK
this year-
surgery, can I get you?
No, we already discussed. I like my eyes the way they are.
Okay.
A little bit.
Veneers, you don't need them, but can I buy those for you?
No, thank you. Thomas told us that you have to shave them down to tiny bits, and
The spikes,
that
I
made me
think.
nervous.
Yeah. Like
yeah.
shark teeth, I think.
Yeah, so I'll pass on that.
Okay. Love and affection and fellowship.
Yeah,
All right.
that'll take. Anywho, I don't think old ladies are wearing curlers, and I don't think that they could handle childbirth.
Okay.
I think their bones would break and their lungs would
Shatter.
collapse.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's a potentially
my
hot,
prediction.
but that's a potentially triggering.
To our 75-year-old
assessment.
listeners.
We have a lot.
We probably have some.
We
yeah.
do, yeah.
But they
I
probably
love
aren't.
it.
Like, I don't think they'll be mad at me for saying that they probably shouldn't have children right now.
Yeah. You know what? Well, that's the kind of the funny thing about our, outrage culture right now, our cancel and outrage culture.
Mm-hmm.
I could see someone getting completely outraged by that who wouldn't want a child at all.
Also, what is to get outraged about? Having kids.
So you're saying that you can have kids, but that we shouldn't be allowed to? Like, mind you, they
well,
would they
everyone's
go, okay, you're
allowed.
right. I was wrong. You were right. Let's do the procedure. And they go, I don't want fucking kids at 70. Like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? I do think people,
If you're old, for a lot of reasons, you shouldn't do all the things you could do when you were young because you'll get hurt.
right.
Also, kids are a lot of energy. You don't have as much energy when you're 75 to raise a baby.
No, I don't at 44
Right.
have enough energy. But it did make me think of Bill Maher. He brought up the fact that Neil deGrasse Tyson, I guess he tweeted something saying like school shootings are horrendous, but also it's an interesting moment to look at our emotional reaction to things that statistically might not be as relevant as car accidents, suicides, all these other things that are infinitely higher.
Yeah.
Volume-wise and deserve attention. And he got really in trouble for listing some facts.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we mean by that? In trouble, I guess.
Yeah, he didn't
That
get in
is-
trouble. People got mad at him. So
I can own this. I'm on the like Sam Harris side of this, really, where I'm like, want people to be able to say whatever they want and not to have mobs, cancel people's lives. And at the same time, I can recognize I'm overreacting too, because what really happened to Neil
Exactly.
deGrasse Tyson? Probably nothing. Just some people were pissed off.
yeah.
So I guess we just got to live with people getting pissed off.
Yeah.
But I do think people need to ignore the pissed off people a little more. Like the companies and stuff. The tail is wagging the dog on Twitter, big time.
So a part of me is also like, if you're going to choose to put something out there, like you might get some criticism.
Right.
And you have to know it. So you could also just get off Twitter and not feel like you need to tell the world every single one of your thoughts.
Well, but agreed. But I also think he was trying to help. I think what he was watching was deep emotional suffering that he thought he might be able to point out another way to look at.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I do understand.
It's kind of like this. As I say, the number one killer of children in America is swimming pools.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting because we have a really good association with swimming pools, and we've all enjoyed being in a swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
So for whatever reason, that's not on anyone's mind. There's no campaign to get rid of swimming pools, even though it is the number one killer of children.
Yeah.
That's just worth observing.
Right. I think in the case of mass murders and stuff, school shootings and things that feel like we could do things to prevent that,
Yeah.
then why wouldn't we do those things? And so for somebody to be like, actually, it's not that big of a deal makes...
I don't think they're saying it's not a big deal. I think they're saying there are bigger deals.
Sure.
If
That's-
your main concern is saving the lives of children, there are areas that would be
But
better.
he's saying
better
car accidents and things like that. That's human accident. This is an accident. It's not accidents that people are getting shot at Walmart and stuff like that. Those are issues that we can maybe have some control over. So putting effort in something where we have some control is
I just think
more...
what he's saying is right-sizing fear, acknowledging percentages. What is your likelihood of something happening? That's relevant stuff, and how afraid you are of the world. That is what a cognitive behavioral therapist would tell you.
Yeah.
Is like, look at the facts. I think people who are so afraid of terrorism, I put also in this category. It's like, let me tell you, everyone that's afraid of terrorism, you're not going to be killed by a terrorist, but you are going to die of heart disease, and you are going to die of cancer. These go on the list of the most, a third of us are going to go down that way. Yet no one is passionately trying to prevent that. Or certainly there's a handful
there
of people,
are.
but not as many that are passionately trying to make sure there's never a terrorist attack again.
Right. Fear is a different thing than action. Yeah, maybe we don't have to be so afraid, but we still shouldn't step away from trying to fix those issues because it's not
The number
numbers
one.
wise. It's not
Yeah.
the number one thing.
Well, I agree, and I'll use my own argument against me, which is like people go, they try to prioritize what things you should care about. Like, it's like, well, no, we also want doctors studying toe fungus. No one's arguing toe fungus is more important than cancer, but we don't need to have every single doctor studying cancer. We can have some. We can
Yeah.
we can allocate some to study toe fungus.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I came full circle. Anyways, I think my global point is people are like, whatever the reaction to Neil deGrasse Tyson was about stating that list of the true numbers.
Yeah.
I guess I'm against those people acting like he wiped his butt with the Bible or something.
It depends on what you care about.
Yeah.
I don't love that he did that. I'm not
Oh, you
pissed.
don't?
I'm not.
Well, this is great, though.
he
You can
can-
hear both sides of the argument.
Yeah, I mean, he can do whatever he wants, but I do think for people who are fighting very hard to work on this problem, it minimizes that a bit. And I understand people not loving that.
Right. I guess what all I'm saying is we're not very rational in the way we perceive threats to us. I stand
this
by
is
that.
this is
Yeah,
two
there's-
separate conversations,
Oh, okay.
I think,
Which two?
because you're talking about how scared should we be,
Yeah.
and that's one conversation. Sure, the other conversation is there is a lot of people trying very hard to push legislation to help a problem.
Right.
And that's a separate thing. And so regardless of how intense that fear should be, I believe we should be doing those things and making those moves.
Yeah.
There are bigger problems. It makes it seem like that is a waste of time, and it's not a waste of time.
Right. I guess what I'm more pointing out is, and this is very scary to state, the number one thing, worst thing that could ever happen to me in my whole life would be one of my children died.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting that if they died in a pool versus if they got shot,
Yeah.
still the number one worst thing in my life
Of
is that I'm
course.
not ever with my kid again,
Of
because
course.
it would crush me. But we layer something on top of it. It's
Yeah,
like there's
injustice.
the loss, which is an objective thing. Like your kid is no longer with you. That's objective. Now, the cause of it triggers so many different things, which is fascinating.
But it's
like if we go
real.
down in a plane accident, that's acceptable.
Because it's an accident. That's the difference.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. But can we drill into that? The weight you're giving it.
I think it does because it's about whether or not
Could it be
accidents
prevented?
happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could easily go like, well, okay, so in the case of your kid died in a school shooting, we could prevent that.
Yeah, that
And,
could
and
have
I,
been.
yeah, and I would agree, and we should.
Yeah.
We should. Let me be very clear. I think we should prevent that.
Yeah.
We should take all measures to prevent that. But you could also go, you could have prevented your kid dying in a swimming pool. You didn't need to have a swimming pool. It's not that important that people fucking are buoyant in the water. They're equally legitimate. Like, it didn't have to happen. I had to have a swimming pool, but the one has no guilt, no anger.
That's not true. If
Well,
it's
there's
your
guilt.
swimming pool,
Yeah,
you have nothing but guilt for
That's
the rest
true.
of
No
your life.
anger. There's like no outrage over
No anger at
swimming pools.
Others, you will have an anger with yourself,
Right, that
which
you
is
slacked
still
on your duty.
Yeah, so that's what's happening. It's the same emotion. It's just turned inward because it was, quote, your mistake or not. But if it's some outside force, outside person, and a system that enables that kind of person, there's going to be a lot of anger towards that.
Right. Well, and then it does boil down to the thing that I sometimes say that people go, oh, intentions don't matter. Well, they do in matter. And the most clinical examples, you're walking down the street and all of a sudden you get bumped really hard in the shoulder and you get spun around. And if you see the person truly just bumped into you on accident, that's one reaction. But if you turn around and see that, oh, someone shoved you intentionally,
Yeah.
those are two drastically different things.
With the same exact feeling.
Outcome,
Yeah.
yes, you got spun around. You're right. So yes, I guess with the shooting, there's an intention. With the pool has no intention. It's just a stagnant body of water.
Yeah.
Or if you got a lazy river, it's not static, but still.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. She was saying that her mom had the X Factor and that Simon would hit the button. And then we were like, is it Simon? Simon, yes, was on the X Factor.
Oh, he was, and he would hit the button if someone had that X factor.
Oh, shoot. I don't know if he...
Probably.
Probably.
If she said it,
If she said it, it's true.
it's true.
It's definitely true. Okay, you said camp is mainly Jewish and you don't know many Gentile people who went to camp.
Well, really quick, I didn't say camp is mainly Jewish. I said most of my Jewish friends went to camp, that it's a very Jewish tradition. But I don't think that of all the camps in the United States that they're predominantly Jewish. I don't think that.
Okay, well, you think mostly Jewish people go to camp.
I think there's a higher percentage of Jewish people who attend summer camp than white people. But I think because there's so many white people, there's probably still way more Gentile camps than Jewish camps.
Yeah, but you said you don't know any Gentile people who
I
went to
don't.
camp, but you know a lot of Jewish people who did.
Yeah.
Well, she's right about the sprouting of Jewish camps. From what I saw, corroborated her story on that. But I do know a lot of people who went to camp, Gentiles,
Okay.
sports camps.
Oh, we counting that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think so. It's still a camp. Still
It-
summer camp.
Yeah.
Just like she went to a theater camp. Sports camp's the same. Theater camp, gymnastics camp, horseback riding camp. Those are all camps.
Right.
I went to cheerleading camp.
And you were there for the summer?
No. My cheerleading camp in this case was not like these camps.
See,
that
that's
was
what
with
I'm
my
kinda,
squad.
Yeah, I didn't want to anger you, but I do see like football camp and soccer camp different than go sleep in a cabin, go fishing, make some art projects. That to me feels differently than run drills all day in this sports complex.
Well, okay. There's a few things. You can go to gymnastics camp. My gymnastics team is going to gymnastics camp for training. It's just like, oh, there's this gymnastics camp for the summer. I'm going to go for 2 weeks or whatever. Then there's your soccer team goes to camp and that's camp training and stuff.
Camp
That's
crazy.
different. Camp crazy. So my cheerleading camp was with my squad in school, and that was a different thing.
And
yeah.
were you in cabins and having
Yeah.
cookouts at night? And,
Couple years we had.
s'mores.
I don't
Stargazing.
remember. Yeah, we did all of that.
You stargazed? It's an integral part of summer camp, I think. Stargazing.
Sure,
Did
yeah.
you lay in a hammock?
No, it wasn't relaxing.
It wasn't.
We had to pass a swim lesson, and that
For
was
cheering.
for the playing on the lake
I got
at the camp.
I got you.
In order to be able to like do all that, you had to pass a swim lesson, and I hate swimming, and I hated having to pass that swim lesson.
And we think maybe you have more denser muscle from your elite muscle mass.
Yeah. So I was sinking.
You're sandbagged.
And we had to tread water for like a long time, not as long as you treaded water.
Or that man in India.
Or the man who treaded for
4 days.
4 days, yeah. It
It
wasn't quite that
He had
long.
to poop and eat while he was treading water.
He did.
I almost want to take a run at the record simply to have an excuse to try to poop and eat while I'm treading water. Like, I'll only make it 6 hours, but I'll be like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be doing this for 4 days. I got to poop now. And then I also need some pizza. But don't you think it's funny when you're in pursuit of a world record, all things are allowed? Like when the magician,
David
Blaine, when he goes into a box and stuff, we understand he's going to have to pee and all those things in this box. And you just overlook it because, he's going for a world record.
That's true. That's true.
And I just think that's a funny,
It is funny.
mental shift we do.
Yeah.
Like if you saw a guy shitting on the sidewalk, he's reading a paper, he'd be like, oh, these fucking people, they're shitting on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
But the person's like, no, he's going for the world record of reading a newspaper
How long
for
he can
6
read it.
days. You go, oh, well, okay.
That's
well,
fine
good.
then.
I hope he gets it.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like you'd be really sick if you treaded water for that long. I hope you don't try it.
Really? I'd be
Yeah.
sick?
I get nervous about that.
Oh. Well, let's try and
No.
see if you get nervous. Well, you think I'm going to drown?
No, I just feel like you're gonna be so like,
Oh, Brado or Grotto?
what's that?
Brondo?
What?
Rondo.
What are you saying?
The muscle disease. that you
Rhabdo?
get. Rhabdo.
Oh, rhabdo. Oh, well, you'll definitely get rhabdo. Yeah.
Right.
And then you'll probably just be like all shriveled up after
Sickly.
and sickly. Yeah.
Like
and then
Mr.
I'll
Burns.
feel scared and sad about that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So don't do it.
Okay.
Anyway, so the lake. So I had to pass the swimming test and I barely passed, but I did pass.
Oh, good.
And then we were doing the blob. Do you know the blob?
No.
The blob is this huge, basically bouncy.
Oh, air bladder, and you jump on
Yes.
one side and boot people out the other.
Correct.
I love it.
Yes.
Never done it, but I love it.
So what we did was we would get on the end of the blob.
Yeah.
So let's say it's a big rectangle. One person would get on the end, and then another person would climb up on this like high dive
Platform.
basically platform. Yes. And then jump down so you'd really go flying off that blob.
Did they ever add a third diving board for the triple Indy?
No. They did not. So look,
Were you the hot potato that got fucking shot into the air off
obviously,
the-
because I was so tiny.
Yeah.
But I
did
I
this?
didn't want to
This
do
feels
it.
like
This
a
was
peer pressure thing.
Exactly. This is one of the times in life that I did get peer pressured.
Oh, I thought you were infallible with peer pressure.
No, I'm not. And I've just learned my lesson about peer pressure. This is one of the times.
Yeah.
So I was at the edge of the blob, and Jeremy, one of the guys on my cheerleading squad, one of the guys
Oh, a
on my cheerleading
heavy
squad.
heavy set guy.
Yes.
Okay.
It was going to be my friend Gina, who I
That
do
would've-
hair play with.
Oh, that'd have been perfect.
And we were planning because I was nervous, and she was like, "I'll do it, and I will just be
You're 80
gentle.
pounds, I'm 81
That's
pounds.
fine. It'll be easy."
And
And then behind my back, up there, they did a switcheroo.
I'm coming down.
He didn't tell me. I didn't know. All of a sudden, Jeremy jumped off. I went flying so high and far in the air, and I did a front flip involuntarily.
Oh, they really flung you.
Everyone laughed.
Was he going?
Yeah, that's what he sounded like. Anywho, so
Did it hurt when you hit the water?
weirdly, no.
Oh, well, this is a great story then. You
think I
flew
was
up in the
forced
air,
to
you
wear
did a
a life-
cool flip unexpectedly,
But I
and then you
was
landed
so
with grace.
Scared.
Oh, okay. Like Delta with GT. Do you know? She calls ET GT. Has she
Oh,
not told you about?
No.
Oh, we put on ET, and she was very traumatized. Mind you,
Oh.
we watched Indiana Jones the weekend before, and she was totally fine with Indiana Jones.
Oh.
But then ET was just a very frightening critter for her.
Oh.
And she doesn't want, we're not allowed to say GT in the house anymore.
GT. Oh.
Don't say GT.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
scared.
yeah, she's really scared.
He is scary.
No, he's so sweet.
No.
Elliot. But
Ew.
also, well, I didn't do a very good job. Oh, can I say there's one more funny thing that she did?
Yeah.
We were laying in bed at the hotel, and Kristen had sang, it was nighttime, and she said, Mommy has a pretty voice, and your voice sounds crusty.
Yeah.
And I was
you
like, that's a perfect adjective for how my
really-
voice sounds. But it is a glass half full look at my voice, because it implies that if we could just get that crust out of there, I'd have an angelic voice. There's just like some crud in there.
Okay.
Don't you think? To me, it means that like my voice problems are solvable.
Okay. That's a nice
Maybe
way of
like,
looking at it.
oh my goodness, when I invent my phlegm vibrator, although turns out there already is a phlegm with the sonic
Right.
sonic vibration.
The vest you're going to wear at night.
Yeah, and it's going to rattle everything loose. Maybe it'll break up that crust on my vocal cords.
Maybe.
Yeah, that'd be great. But what if I came in out, I was like, my thing worked. My vocal cords don't have any crust on them. And I was like 5 octaves higher. Monica, welcome
think- I
to
don't think-
Armchair Expert. And
Okay.
people would be like, put the crust back on your voice.
They would. I don't think people would like that very much. Oh, okay. So you did an impression of Huey.
Oh, right. And it was the worst one.
It
I've
wasn't a
ever
good
done.
impression. This is what you said. You said, so how often do you audit this business manager of yours? I don't know. You work pretty hard for your money, so you want to check and see if it's there. You were telling that story.
Yeah.
And you did a bad impression. So I asked Huey to send me a voice memo.
Yay.
So this is what Huey sounds like.
Okay. Shut up. This is Houston Estes.
Dax, how often do you audit your business manager? You work pretty hard for your money, and it seems like to me you'd want to make sure it's all there. That's just me.
Boy, that was great. That was great. No, but as you can hear, I really did a terrible job with my impersonation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm afraid
It's
of it.
hard to do.
It is. It
It's
is a
very specific.
Pacific. It's very Chrysler Pacific.
So now everybody meet Huey. That's Huey.
Oh, we love Huey.
I love him so
My
much.
God, is he? Other than you, I'd say of my last 8 years on Earth, favorite person I've met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe you about that one.
Okay.
Okay, so you said you told her you were going to watch Funny Girl. Did you do that?
No, I haven't done that.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I just wanted to chat.
Okay.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
It was a real snafu in there because you were talking about Bette Midler and then you guys switched real quick to Barbra Streisand and I didn't know.
Right.
And I didn't know what you were talking about. And then you were talking about Liza Minnelli and it was just hopping around.
It was. We were saying Babs, Liza, whatever the first one was.
Bette Midler,
That's straight.
Because Babs could be a name for Bette.
Sure. Absolutely.
Why not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. If Babs is a name for Barbara,
Yeah,
certainly it could be a name for Brett.
that's right.
Bet.
Brett.
Her name's Bet.
Yeah,
It is, but now it sounds crazy to me that her name is Bet.
right.
Like, place a wager.
BETTE though.
Wait,
But,
BT, Black Entertainment Television?
BETTE.
Oh, Black Entertainment Television. Black Entertaining Television Entertainment.
Black entertaining television TV entertainment.
Yes, that's exactly what that's what it stands for.
So, okay, you said surely in the history of Broadway someone has evacuated on stage.
Oh, right.
And I couldn't there weren't any articles about that, but apparently there was some sort of mystery pooper
Ooh.
who was going to these auditions and pooping on the floor.
Wait,
And then it just
during the
stunk.
audition?
Yeah.
Or they would hide their excrement somewhere.
Like on the floor somewhere.
Okay. Like a drop and dash?
Right. And no, but I think this person was auditioning,
Okay.
but they had a beef with the Actors Equity.
Oh, okay.
So they were just shitting
So it was a
everywhere.
nonviolent protest about the actors' equity.
That's right. And people thought like, is someone just like bringing this in, dragging it in from outside? Is it on their shoe?
Do you know there's some old lore.
Uh-oh.
I doubt this could be true, but there
Okay.
is lore. Kind of like the Belvedere. Do you know about what Belvedereing yourself is? Mm-mm. Again, this is legend. I don't claim this to be true, but apparently Mr. Belvedere, the actor who was Mr. Belvedere, one time at the table read, sat down really hard in his chair, and he sat on one of his testicles and all of a sudden exploded in writhing pain and had to be rushed to the hospital.
Oh, no.
Now, that's lore. I'm not claiming that that's true, okay? This is gossip and conjecture.
Okay.
But there is similarly a myth or legend or lore that one of the Golden Girls put a poop in the other Golden Girl's makeup carrier as a joke.
Whoa.
Yes.
As a joke.
And then someone at the Groundlings really did it. I think it's still a mystery about who pooped in whose, but someone put a poop in a female's makeup case. But I think it involved like B. Arthur and the other super famous one.
Betty White.
Betty White in whatever I just said.
B. Arthur.
B. Arthur. There we go again. B and Betty, all in the same show.
Were they joke? Are you sure it was a joke or they
I think
were
it was
angry
a loving
at
joke,
each other?
but the Groundlings one I think was a terrorist act.
Oh, so maybe it was just like, this is a funny homage. Not a terrorist act necessarily.
Right, like a loving. We're
Yeah.
like, you're the B to my Betty.
That's right.
Yeah, again, I don't even know that those are the two people on the Golden Girls that this rumor surrounds, but
Oh, wow.
if they did it out of love, B. Arthur and Betty White,
Mm-hmm.
I'm loving it. I mean, that is so next level. I guess I would think it was pretty darn funny if I opened up, I don't even know what I open up in real life, but if I
Yeah.
opened up and there was a brown bear in there,
Yeah.
I would think it was funny, I think.
Okay. We'll see. So I made a mistake. We were talking about Booksmart, and I said, "Oh, is it like Superbad?" And then she didn't love that.
Right. For good reason.
Yeah, I totally understand. And I also don't feel like I really got to defend why I said that.
Uh-huh.
I'm, again, probably going to get maybe in trouble for this, but
You think so?
maybe because I don't, not to like double down on this,
Yeah, go ahead.
but like Superbad was first.
Yes.
It's not about male, girl, this, that. It's
Yeah.
that was the first movie like that.
Yes.
And this is a similar
It's
concept.
like saying it's Goodfellas is a funny Godfather. Of course you're going to do that.
Right. You're just going to compare to the thing that happened originally.
I agree.
So
And yet I think she has a good point when it's like
Totally.
if Bridesmaid isn't the female Hangover. It's
Right.
a completely different movie.
Totally.
And you're just because that's the high water mark for making money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if Bridesmaids was about the four girls who went to Las Vegas and then there
Crashed
was a
weddings to get
tiger
some
in
dick.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, again, I haven't seen Booksmart, so I'm sure it's nothing like Superbad, but the concept
Yes.
is very similar.
Right.
So when I say, is it like a girl version of Superbad?
Right.
That's just like, that was the first thing with boys. This seems to be a new thing, replacing those boys with girls.
Yeah.
And it's its own thing. It's apparently brilliant. I'm
Yeah.
sure it is. I want to see it, and I'm sure it's great. I understand the sensitivity, and there's something to note about like
Well,
when you compare.
What
you
if we
know.
flip the paradigm here
Okay.
and we go, Girls Trip. Girls Trip is the black Bridesmaids. Mm-hmm. That feels a little dicey, right?
Yeah.
I guess to say any movie is the black something
Totally.
feels a little dicey,
It
right?
does. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So I think in that way, maybe the girl anything feels, or the female anything
Yeah.
feels a little bit like the black something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's true.
It's true. Well, again, both things are true. That's the problem here.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a goddamn binary option.
Yeah.
Yeah. You either can't do it or you can. I think sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. Because I do think you could say, oh, it's a black Halloween.
Right.
If it was a scary movie and it was very the same as Halloween, but it had all black actors.
Yeah. But then I guess you could just say, like, it's like Halloween. So I could have
Right.
said, I
Ah.
stand by that I could have said, so it's like Superbad.
There you go. I
But
think
then
that's the way you clean
I
it
just
up.
shouldn't have said the girl part of it.
Yeah. I think that's the move.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this movie, this all black cast of Halloween that's called Stagecoach, and it's a all black cast, and it's a horror movie that very much resembles Halloween.
Okay.
And I just go, Stagecoach is just like Halloween.
Yeah.
I don't say it's a black Halloween.
Yeah.
All right, we did it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We rarely come up with a
Answer.
solution moving forward.
All right. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for your hard work.
You're welcome.
I love you.
I love
We
you.
have a fun guest coming in moments.
Great.
Easter egg.
Hey.